Welcome to the show, and here are your hosts, the diabolical Elite Gaming Guru, the illustrious Red Dead Panda, and the Australian stud AshtreyGaming. So let's get this party started. Shit.
And
We're live.
Hello. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Gamers Edition podcast.
you need to be eating your mic, Elite.
Hey, come on, get up on it. Lick it. That's better.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've licked stranger things, Elite. Come on.
Well, shall list the things I've licked.
Go on.
Let's just get into the show.
That's how we do it, Red, right? Come on.
How we roll.
So, counselling is on offer for those who are watching live.
I don't know what that noise was. Episode 104. We've got some great guests today. Unfortunately, King couldn't make it. Some family problems come up, but I think he's going to pick someone up or something or other. Anyway, let's jump on. We've got a new guest. Umbra stepped in, who's mic'd off at the moment. And we've got Bushido. So welcome, guys. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for stepping in last minute, Umbra. And welcome, Bushido. How are you doing?
Oh, of course. Of course. It's a pleasure to, join you guys always. And, like I said in the green room, I wanted to make sure that I could preserve the greatness of this show. Because you
here for me, I
another.
get it, Umbra. It's fine.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Well, someone has to be.
Yeah.
Elite and Ashtray, take me or leave me, yeah.
And I had the class to join up a bit. Because you all brought in a different guest, and I just wanted to make sure that the integrity of the show was maintained. That's all.
I mean,
We
I
appreciate
get it
that.
when you talk about Elite like that, Umbra. I really do. What have you been up to, Umbra?
I got one to defend it.
What have you been up to? What have you been playing?
I have been up to a few things. I'm heavy in Diablo right now. I'm level 64, almost 65, and I got to World Tier 4 now, Panda, by the way. But I haven't started on it because it's way too much. So I'm going to wait till I get to like 66 maybe, and then I'll move to a 4. But I'm loving it. But I feel like once I get to 100, I think I might lose all interest. I'm starting to feel that might be the case because it's like, what do I have to fight for at that point anymore?
There's data mining has leaked possibility of not win, but World Tier 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. I'll see. I mean, it's the only thing that's really holding me until Starfield.
Yeah. Well, once they
I
start
might
bringing out
continue.
seasonal content, that's the good thing about Diablo. You just play it and then put it down, and a new season comes out, you play it, and
That's true. But other than that, I had an excellent show yesterday on The Fix with so many excellent guests. I had
Yes.
Dealer, Rand, I had Everborn, I had Dirk Griggity. It was a great show. Some doubted me. Some doubted that I could maintain it with so many great guests all at once. But I pulled through. I pulled through. I don't want to name any names, but
I've heard of Griggity. We've had him on the show. I've not heard of the others. Are they new to gaming or?
Oh yeah, they're pretty new. They got like 1 subscriber apiece.
One subscriber tops.
But seriously though, I'm happy to be here with you guys.
Thanks for joining us, man. Appreciate it.
Mr. Prosciutto, what have you been up to, and how are you?
I'm doing all right. Always glad to heed the call from Alert to come on the show. I have been playing Octopath Traveler 2. I finished the story, but I haven't finished the in-game content where you have to level up to 99 basically, and then fight these ungodly, godly things. And I don't know if I'm gonna do it this time around because after playing Starfield, after seeing Starfield, I don't want to play nothing else. Like have nothing else. Like I'm not even trying anything else. Like mentally, I'm like, nah, I want to play Starfield. And I did try a demo. I need to try Lies of P demo next. I've tried the Final Fantasy 16 demo, and I have to admit the game's actually pretty good. I might wind up getting that game to hold me off until then. It was actually fun. The only problem I found kind of ironic was people were talking about how Starfield didn't look this way, and this is what 12 teraflops does for you. But I looked at Final Fantasy, and it didn't look good at all. It looked very plain and very drab, and it just didn't have a lot of details. It was deep, but it was a good game, though. Yeah, I'm in for it. I'm in for it, though. I'm there for it, though.
Exciting. Yeah, I've been talking to a few people about the Final Fantasy 17 beta, and they're really enjoying. Demo, sorry. They've enjoyed it, and they just really want to be able to play the full game, so they don't have to wait too much longer, I don't think.
Yeah, the story's actually pretty good too for a Final Fantasy game. It's not super deep, but it's a good story to keep you going.
Yeah. All right. Well, Elite Gaming Guru. I'll just answer for you. You've been playing. No, I'm kidding. What have you been up to, Elite?
I've just been replying to a couple of the guys in chats and the music's too loud and missing.
What music?
Yeah, it's like if the intro music they mean, and is it always like that? So I've had it now for several months.
I actually just checked it on my phone. It is pretty loud. I will admit. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been playing Diablo as well. So yeah, but I'm running through it, but I just keep finding the side missions and running off and doing them. And it's a struggle to stay onto the main campaign. I just keep running off and doing other shit. So yeah, but I'm thinking about starting a new character now. I think I'm about level 35, 40 on my druid. I might start a new character.
Have you muted that music, Red? Because I can't hear any music, but everyone else can apparently.
Music?
Yeah, you got music playing, gameplay music.
I don't hear anything.
Mute your gameplay.
I don't have any gameplay audio.
Well, there's music going on in the background. So open up YouTube and play the show, and there's music playing. So you just need to go into OBS and mute what I think is either your gameplay or there's something else playing in the background.
Wow.
Okay, there's something playing in the background, and I don't know what is playing in the background.
So in the OBS, it should show you whatever's moving. If we're not talking, there should be something showing audio moving there. Unless you've got another tab open in the internet that's playing some video in the background.
The only thing I have open is on the internet is YouTube, but it's all muted.
Okay, so
I have no idea.
Mute everything in OBS except for maybe desktop audio for now, and see if that fixes it.
Nothing playing.
Oh, so it's good now. Legend says it's good now.
Yeah,
Whatever it was, it stopped now.
Yep.
Oh, that's weird. Did you change something, or did you just stop doing it?
I have no idea. I didn't change anything.
Wow. That's one of the strangest things I've ever seen having a podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
Sorry, guys.
It happens to me all the time.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. OBS is weird sometimes. It will mess up on you and do things like that.
Yeah, it does. It does. Okay. Well, audio should be fixed. We didn't miss anything from hearing from Elite, so moving on to Ashtray.
We can all agree on that.
Have you played Diablo yet, Ashtray?
No, I haven't, Elite.
Ow, look. Get out of it.
Yeah, I know, right? No, I've been playing Ghost Recon Breakpoint, but that's about it this week. Yeah, still enjoying that.
Is that
Yeah, I
multiplayer?
like it. It's co-op, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you can do a
Playing it
co-op or on
single player
your own.
co-op?
I've been doing a bit of both, so I usually play it by myself, but I'll have sessions with Boba as well. He'll jump in and play it with me. Yep.
That's what he
That's
said.
another story.
Oh, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you and Boober were enemies. I guess I was wrong. I got some bad intel, so okay.
Nah, all good. We're not mortal
Bad
enemies like
intel.
you guys are.
They're frenemies. Yeah, it's fine.
Where's the whoa? What do you mean I'm mortal enemies?
Yeah. Right?
Say that.
There can be only one.
Come on in Panda Poos, what have you been playing?
Jesus.
Phantom Poos.
Oh my god. When
That's our pet name.
I have
We have
been-
loads of them for each other.
I have played Diablo mostly. I've been helping other people level up, and basically, as a result, it means that when you go into their world and they're doing stories, you don't get any of the XP except through killing bosses. I mean, ads and enemies. So I haven't really leveled up much. I'm still level 60 since I last jumped on, but I haven't really played much this week at all. I have been away from home the last 2 days as well.
I keep getting judged on my gaming, and you two, neither of you, you're not playing games, and he's not playing Diablo.
What's my gamer score elite?
Oh shit, here we
and
go.
your gamer score thing now.
That's just evidence of me playing games. I know you play a lot of online, but there is evidence of me that I do play a lot of games. Yeah. I'm being cheeky to you, Elite.
Tell us more about your water blasting. That's what we like.
It's the wrong season for that, so yeah, maybe in summer.
Go then.
But that reminds me, I should re-download that game to play those new maps.
They got new maps. The water blasting.
Yes. Don't judge my Power Wash Simulator stuff. I love that game. But I also am in the mindset of I'm really looking forward to Starfield. I am considering playing it on PC though because of the 30 FPS option. Also, maybe trying to figure out if I can ease myself back into 30 again.
That's what she said.
Yeah, basically, just because I get motion sick, and I had food poisoning many years ago, and it was horrific. I was sick for 2 years, and now I generally, when I feel sick, will have a panic attack. So, me playing games at 30 is not a very nice experience for me whatsoever.
Hang on, you said 2 years ago. How long have you known Elite for?
No, more than that. It was more than 2 years. I had it. The bug that stuck with me was for 2 years, from my food poisoning.
I was just trying to make a correlation between you being sick and Elite. That's all. Yeah.
Well,
we go way back.
I've had this constant headache though. That might be. Yeah.
That'll explain it.
But let's get into some topics, guys. Yeah. So
What would you like to get into?
You're an idiot.
I thought we could start off with some easy things before we actually get into the really big stuff that we want to talk about, which was the Xbox showcase.
Yeah.
So let's start off with Embracer Group announces their restructuring. What do you think?
I'm so sorry.
Oh,
Has anyone
an open letter.
What are you thinking?
An open letter by Embracer Group CEO on restructuring program. So as we know, we've heard that they're in dire straits at the moment, and they're trying to, very similar to Ubisoft in the way of they've sort of built themselves up over the years. They've had acquisitions, they've been buying IP, and they've kind of got to that point where they've probably overcapitalized. They've probably had a few games that haven't quite hit, a few things all boiled into one, and then bam, they're sort of not doing too well. So they've got to restructure. They've got to obviously look at their pipeline of games that are coming and make decisions on what they're gonna launch, what's going to be sort of the most beneficial for them. Obviously, restructuring with staff. It's going to be people being moved or laid off potentially, and then other business decisions to then obviously make sure that they get their dividends as quickly as possible. So we'll start off with our guest. See, now picking one of our guests to start off with, one of the others going to get upset that they weren't picked first. So how do we do this, Red? What do you think?
I've got a Paragon Renegade coin. Pick a side, guys.
Heads.
Heads.
Renegade.
Renegade. Okay. Well, it's Renegade, so there you go, Bushido. You go first. Umbra. Sorry, mate.
Who won? Who won? Who won?
Start us
Who
off.
won, Red?
What are your thoughts on this, Bushido?
Oh, he won.
Yeah, he went
Boo.
Renegade.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because he's a
Yeah.
renegade.
Yes. What is the question again? I'm sorry.
Oh shit! All right, over to you, Umbra.
He was too busy basking in the glory of
Winning.
winning.
It
Yeah.
was.
Oh shit!
Wait, no, what are we talking about now?
Embrace
shit.
embrace the groups and
I'll answer Red
restructuring
since he
program.
wasn't paying attention. I'll enlighten him.
Yeah. You're playing Diablo, aren't you, at the moment, Bushido?
No, I'm not playing anything. I just was asking at the W. That's on that giant size W.
No, I find the situation kind of crazy. For me, I see Embracer and I saw Tencent, and I thought, okay, they're pretty well off. They're acquiring, companies and such, so they must have some overhead to do what they're doing to acquire so many companies. But then there was one single deal for, I guess, a few billion that ruined everything.
Yep.
And it was an agreement by handshake and by word of mouth. It was like, why would you agree to that as a business? I don't know.
I think that happens more often than not, dude. I really do.
I
think
wonder.
that happens. Mm-hmm.
I wonder. I just found it kind of fascinating, but at the same time, I didn't think that one single deal like that would ruin so much for them. And it was like only a few billion. It's not like it was like 30 billion or something. It was like a few billion. And
It was only like 2, I think.
About 2 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
and I think
exactly.
And so that like I was sort of saying before, how they've sort of grown and they've acquired businesses and IPs, they've overcapitalized, and that's what happens when they don't have any spare cash and they're riding on something like this deal to pull them through, and then it fails, then they're scrambling to fix things, because obviously you still got to pay staff, you still got to pay certain things if they're using another person's business's IP and whatever. So they've overcapitalized, and that's what it looks like to me anyway.
So what I'm hearing is like Payday 3 and Warhammer 40,000 and Remnant 2 should all be in Game Pass, and they get that Game Pass money to tide them over.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
I'll tell you what I get from it. So I still want to know, much like Pete, me and him were talking about it, I still want to know who this was that they made this verbal agreement with that reneged and left them hanging.
I agree. I want to know too.
I definitely want to know that. I do feel for the people who are affected by this, by the way. I do want to touch on the human element and not sound too cold on ignoring them, because at the end of the day, people are losing jobs. What I found interesting too is that Crystal Dynamics came out and spoke on it, saying that their project they're working on, which I'm assuming is Tomb Raider, hasn't been affected yet. So not every studio they have is being affected, but some are clearly losing jobs. But what I also thought was, and I kid you not, my first thought was, it sure would be a shame for Microsoft to come and liberate those studios we just bought.
Absolutely.
What a shame, right?
I know, right? I'm so greedy. I'm sorry. I was like, it sure would be a shame to get those Crystal Dynamics idols to Montreal and all these. Like, that's my first thought, was like, hey, you all need some cash. They need some studios. Perfect.
And if they can't buy it, have a partnership with them where they basically get first dibs. Yeah.
Do that. I would acquire them flat out, but yeah.
Well, that's if that's even possible anymore. With the ABK stuff and other things that they've already had in the pipeline. But correct me if I'm wrong, isn't Embracer Group a live publicly listed company?
Something like that, yeah.
So
I believe so. It's publicly traded you're talking about?
Yeah.
I'd have to look, but I'm imagining so.
Wouldn't that have to come out in their earnings call or letter to their shareholders or something? Something would have to be said. It can't.
About who pulled out?
Yeah.
Good point. Good question. I can look though. Let me look to just.
Yeah, we might not hear
verify.
till a little bit later though, until they have to actually announce it. But maybe.
I'm looking right now and I don't see it.
Yeah, because if it is publicly listed and their shareholders, they would all have to have been somehow communicated to, if not yet soon, to say what happened and why it happened, which then becomes public knowledge, right?
It would be interesting to know why this happened. I think.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, they are publicly listed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just sad. Like everyone's
We'll
feeling
find out
the
in time.
financial strains at the moment, so maybe they pulled out because they couldn't
Come on.
afford to do the deal. But then that just has flow-on effect. Like it's if you look into Embracer Group, they employ over 17,000 people, and so you know that they're going to be looking at where they can cut costs around teams, whether that is not just the idea of restructuring, but re-looking at some of the games that are in early development and seeing if those things, if they need to invest or put more time into it and maybe look at other projects. Yeah, it's just hard, and hopefully if they can't find other work for their teammates to do, then or colleagues, then there might just be other studios having to hire them, hopefully. Xbox.
Yeah.
I know, it's hard. Everyone's feeling it. But it's just shocking to see that it's come to this. And I like Embracer Group.
For the stock prices, each share is $2,640.
Each share?
Yeah, they're definitely publicly traded.
Ooh.
Yeah,
they're in,
definitely.
what is it, Sweden? Where are they at?
Sweden.
Stockholm, yeah.
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 So, interesting.
6%. Yeah, it is. When I remember when I first heard this, the first thing popped in my head was one, said two. It'd be a shame if Microsoft had to scoop in there and grab some of these studios. And second, I was like, what's the studio that pulled out like that? Because that's a rare thing to happen. When a studio wants a game done and they come to an agreement, they usually stick to their agreement. But I've never heard of the whole basic handshake thing, and the handshake thing is asking for trouble because there's no proof of that being done. But
You look
I
at
thought that.
Sorry, go.
No. I was wondering though. I didn't think that Embracer was that a delicate balance when it came to finances. Like they were grabbing up so many things up. Studio, don't get me wrong, they were buying the whole studio mostly, but they were grabbing things up so much. I figured that their cash must have been as deep as Microsoft, the way they were doing it.
Well, I
don't
think their sales have been as good as they should have been. Like Warhammer 40,000 hasn't ended up coming to console yet. And like Payday 3 has just been announced, so they've got quite a few IP just sitting in the works. And I think as much as we want to forget that it's still impacting these studios, a lot of the games that might have launched earlier, they're kind of having to ride through the financial straits of it until the games are actually ready because of the change due to the pandemic of how everyone was working. So I think we're really still seeing some of the longer lasting impacts of the pandemic at this rate. Yeah, which is sad.
Yeah, I personally still think is overcapitalization.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's a big. Elite, what do you think?
Well, that was very interesting. Thank you, Elite.
That's an interesting perspective.
Back.
Oh God.
Sorry about that.
Let's put those popcorn inside the toasty.
We have to keep out.
Oh, we're finished, Elite. We're just about to head out. Yeah, you missed the whole show.
Crisis. The dog's starting to have a fight, so my missus couldn't control him. So
tell everyone the truth. You spilt your beer and you had to go clean it up.
I didn't get another cider while I was there. The fight was sorted out.
Well,
Rottweilers, and they kicked off against each other, so missus couldn't put them apart. But anyway, where was we? So
we were talking about
the next topic. Embracer.
Well, we were still talking about Embracer, and we asked you your thoughts on that.
Yes. my thoughts are we're all against monopolies, aren't we? Monopolies are bad for gaming. So let's hope Embracer collapses and goes under.
Oh
dies,
shit!
because monopolies are not right for gaming. Only one company can have a monopoly, and that's Sony. So there.
I thought it was the company that makes the Monopoly board game.
Yeah, they can have monopoly.
Astrey's like, I'm quitting right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It can't work in these conditions.
I think, yeah, other than that, I think everything, other than the whole monopoly situation, which doesn't seem to affect companies like Tencent or Embracer Group, I think you guys said pretty much everything that needs to be said, really.
like we always do. Yep. All right, next topic.
So, Microsoft is no longer making Xbox One games. There's a surprise. Which I think they pretty much announced this a while back, didn't they? They said they was going to stop making them. I'm pretty sure they said officially in 2023. They was going to stop making the games. So, catch me in there. Yes, they was going to stop making them in 2023. So I don't think there's any surprise here. I think more the surprise is that Sony said they was going to stop making PS4 games in 2020, and they can still continue to do so. But yeah, I think this is great. Good. Finally, we can just move on. I mean, it's 2023, 3 years into generation. There is no reason to release games on the Xbox One anymore. If you've not moved over, then do so. You can do it at a very affordable price. But what do you guys think? Do you think they still make games for Xbox One?
Elite, what was the last game that Xbox made that worked on the Xbox One?
Would it have to be a multiplat? Otherwise, Halo, Forza. What else do we have? What else do we have as the first party?
Because I think Redfall was the first party Xbox game to be new to current gen.
Yeah, I think everything so far this year has been just current gen only, isn't it? I think yes.
No, Redfall's been the first one.
Yeah, everything this year has been current gen only.
Well, what about Hi-Fi Rush? Was that current gen only?
No, I think that was current gen only, wasn't it?
No idea.
Xbox One, was it?
Anyone in the chat know? Was Hi-Fi Rush current gen only, or was that playable on Xbox One?
Current gen only. I just
Okay.
looked it up.
All right, there you go.
There we go. So yeah. So why did you question me? How dare you?
Because I wanted to see how you'd react.
Oh, react to be right.
Hey, there's a first for everything.
Yeah.
Are you guys
This is how I'll react. I'm doing a little dance right now.
My question to the group: are you guys happy that we're now seeing the end of the last gen? I guess
Absolutely.
They've still announced that anyone on those last gen consoles, if they are accessing cloud gaming, can play those games that way, if the game is available on cloud gaming, until they're ready to, I guess, buy the next gen console, or current gen console. But yeah.
And they'll still support games like Minecraft as well.
Oh yeah, that's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyone else have any thoughts on this? I've got some things to say, but that's about it. I always have things to say.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy that they're moving forward. It's well past time for them to move into the current gen. I think having to have cross-gen implementation has harmed them more than helped rather. And to be fair though, they hadn't had a ton of cross-gen games up before they moved on. They're moving on now, compared to I think Sony. Where they really put forth an effort. You know, I think Microsoft. I mean, they came out. They were transparent. They said, "Hey, this is what it's going to be for at least a few more years," and they said that, and there you go. We're getting exactly what they said. So I can appreciate that. And no, so I think it's only a good thing because now people can get that skew out of the way and just develop for current gen games. You know, current gen, hardware, if you will. So I think it's a positive all the way around. And I think that, by the way, helped to hurt Halo, for instance. So we'll see how it affects things going forward.
I think that was just one factor that hurt Halo. But
true.
More importantly, I think the fact that they'll be able to now use current gen engines, so they can ditch the Unreal Engine 4. I'm sure they'll still make games using Unreal Engine 4, but they can go to Unreal Engine 5 without having to worry about the Xbox One. So that means that it'll be hopefully full implementation of the technology that Unreal Engine 5 has, and we'll see that in games like, you know, Gears 6 when that finally decides to rear its head. And yeah, so I think that's good. We'll move on and get better stuff and better tech through the Unreal Engines and the other tech engines that are out there.
I think it's great news. They're living up to what they said. They said about another 2 years, and then they would revert back to, they would get rid of last gen and it'll be next gen only, or current gen only as of right now. So it's nice to see that is happening. And I think they've been a little bit clearer with that messaging than PlayStation has in that respect, because there's still plenty of games still coming out with the PlayStation 4 currently. But I think that's also because they got a massive install base, and it's just easier for Xbox to go, cut our losses. Let's not hold back the devs by having to develop a version of the game for last gen. Let's just get them to utilize everything this current gen, and hopefully that'll mean that more developers have more time to take advantage of what's actually in the boxes, because there's not a lot of things going on in the boxes. I don't even think they're still taking advantage of multi-threading in the CPUs yet. I don't even, so there's been no real, I guess, clarity in that respect as to what the developers are taking advantage of from the boxes. And I would love to like have a breakdown of a game where they're like, we're taking advantage of this, this, and this, because that's why we put it in the box. Yeah.
No, yeah, you're right there, Red. And I think you know, we always bring COVID up as a reason why things got stalled and that, and yes, that's a part of it. But what about this new tech? Maybe they're struggling. Maybe there's issues on the back end where, you know, originally when the Series X and S were developed, you know, they can do these things, and there was models and demos done to say, hey, this is the capability of the systems, but then implementing it into real world not quite working out, or you know, some of the teams don't know how to do it yet. So there's still a lot of learning around all that sort of stuff. This is just an assumption, but, you know, I've heard that there's issues with DirectX 12 in the background that they've had to fix. They've had to do update dev kits because of issues there. And so I think there's a bit more to it than what we're sort of really aware of, and Xbox isn't going to speak on it either. So I think there's a few things in the background, and that's why they're not utilizing some of these processes and things that they've got. But hopefully we get to start to see that, you know, in the next couple of years, or within the next couple of years.
I'm just
because we're still not seeing full RDNA 2 yet.
No, we're not.
In not one game. In not one game. Forget about the hardware. I keep seeing a lot of guys, right? And this is from the world's most powerful console. The software is the software. There's nothing you can do about it if things are locked or whatever. But the hardware is what it is. But it can't make blood come from a stone. It's only going to be able to highlight what it's allowed to be able to highlight. So even though it's capable of RDNA 2, it's not going to be able to make every game. Hey, look, let me hand y'all some RDNA 2 on this level, and let me have some mesh shaders here, and that has to be implemented at the very beginning of the game. So we haven't seen full RDNA 2 on any game because of the fact that mesh shaders are something that have to be implemented early, and it can't be put in later on. So you might have some pieces of RDNA 2, but you're not going to get the full breadth of what it can do until you can you start a game from the ground up.
Yeah, you're right.
Yep. There's other features though as well, right? There's what is it, CPAC or CCPAC or whatever it's called?
BCPAC.
Machine learning.
That's it. Yeah. That we still haven't really seen or heard much about. So yeah, I think there's a lot of life left in these consoles, and Phil said it recently that there isn't going to be a mid-gen refresh. I'm pretty sure he said that in an interview. Maybe not in those particular words, but there wasn't going to be one. And I think the Series S Black Edition with the 1 terabyte was that sort of mid-gen refresh for that particular console. I think, which is good to see.
That's a
But
great
anyway.
price too. Only
$350
$50
US.
extra. Yeah, I think that's a great price because when I saw it, I already have one, and I was like, I mean, I buy another one, you know, for the grandkids so that they can have theirs to take home, and I still have the one with the 500 here and use that, you know, for what I need to use it for.
You know good and well you would give them the 500 gigabyte one and take the terabyte one. You know that. Come on.
The only reason I would give them the terabyte one is because believe me, that one did grace my desk of thoughts. But the only reason why I wouldn't is the phone conversation of, "Oh, Pop, we gotta download this game and there's no space. Can you give us a hard drive? Because we don't have any space. I don't feel like that. I'd
Yeah,
rather
I'm gonna
buy
give you
a hard drive."
You gonna give them a
Yeah,
hard time for the hard drive.
Yeah. I'll use an old mechanical hard drive, transfer my games back and forth, and they can go ahead and use the SSD to 1 terabyte and stay off my nerves. So I'd rather do that.
I like the fact that it's black. I also just want to see a white Series X.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
I don't like white.
I know.
White consoles, TVs,
I
all
know,
that.
but-
They go yellow over time anyway, but they don't.
Yeah.
They just don't look good. The aesthetic isn't
White
good.
TVs are odd. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, white TVs are odd. You know, I would say like if they did a design though, like if they would have released a Starfield edition
Oh yes.
Series X, you know, that had white and all the colors they use, whatever,
Yeah.
that would have been cool.
Controller is just
Yeah,
That would've been
beautiful.
dope. Yeah.
It is.
That's what Xbox doesn't do right. They don't
I
release enough of
agree.
these custom consoles. Yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah, but
No.
you got to remember they're expensive, man.
They
Yeah,
released
but
plenty
Microsoft
of
can afford
custom
it.
consoles in the past.
Yeah.
I think it's just like
It was easier back in the 360 days because
they're
they were
faceplates.
plates, yeah. So you could swap them out. They're plastic. Like now they have to build it. They have to do it from scratch, and it has to be because they're not going to do vinyls.
I think,
So it has to be made from start.
yeah, and I think
To be
more-
fair,
more
though,
expensive.
It's
couldn't they
not-
do those sleeves that you put over the entire console?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see like that Phil came out and said like, hey, you know, you're going to see more Series X's out in the wild because they have been few and far between. I haven't seen one in ages, actually. Not in New Zealand anyway.
Well, their showcases, the sales went up so
Yeah.
much, so it may not still see it. Then if that is true,
Some of the people I were talking about were like, my friends are trading in their PS5s for the Series X because they want to play Starfield. And I was like, fair point. I mean, you're not wrong.
yeah. I've even
Well,
talked to some people that were saying that they were, and not that they were joking. You know, they was like, "No, man, I think I'm gonna trade my PS5 so I could get Starfield." And I was like, "Yeah, he's joking." And I'm talking to him in the DMs, and dude is dead serious.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Wow, he really is willing to trade in." Like Starfield is such a big deal that we wondered why, or just how serious PlayStation fanboys were that were still desperately clinging to it being on PlayStation. And they're dead serious. And they saw it, you know, as much as we did. See, I guess because we have it, and so it's guaranteed coming to us. We don't sweat it, but to them, it's like, I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna play it or not. And here it is now that they have to make the choice.
They sold me on that showcase, though. I was not sold on Starfield
yeah.
up until this last showcase. I'm gonna be
I was
completely
sold.
honest. I wasn't.
But I
Save it.
was sold even more. This
I'm
showcase.
now completely sold on Starfield. Now the showcase itself, like
I
the
felt like that
Bethesda
Great. You're
Starfield
ruining it.
Direct, ruining what?
We've got this is the topic.
We're on this topic right now. We'll get into it properly.
Oh.
Elite, that's called the seamless transition.
Oh,
Fuck,
yeah.
keep up.
Don't point it out.
I still have things to say. I've still got feelings of Xbox One. Like others think, right? If you point out, the PlayStation are still selling the PS4 as brand new, so they And also, has Spider-Man 2 officially been announced? PlayStation 5 exclusive, not on PlayStation 4.
They haven't.
I thought they said that it was only going to be playable on PS5.
Yeah, I think they haven't.
I don't
offered a
remember seeing it.
PS4 version.
I'll just say it that way.
Has anyone actually seen that?
I don't know. We were in a group. We were in I think you were there too, Panda, when we were in a Xbox party when they were showing that game. And as I'm watching it, before the thought finishes crossing my mind, Umber says, "Is this game cross-gen?"
It's PS5 only.
And I was,
at the moment.
oh, I think he's right. I think this just might be cross-gen.
Mm.
Yeah.
And they didn't say anything. I wouldn't say anything yet either if I was PlayStation. That's the one thing I would need to come out now.
I wouldn't blame them if they made it cross-gen because there are still millions upon millions on still the PS4.
And they're still selling PS4s to this day.
And they're still selling them, exactly.
Yeah.
So I would get it.
I'm not sure why they've not cut it off yet.
Yeah.
When they have no intention of making new games for it, I don't know why they're still selling the console. It's kind of sort of a bit naughty, really. They're doing that.
That's why I was saying Microsoft is ahead of the curve as far as moving straight to current gen versus Sony, because Sony is still trying to double dip. Yeah. So I don't know, but Tryhard fan said it's confirmed it's PS5 only. I don't know. I can't recall.
Jim is talking out both sides of his mouth.
I wouldn't be surprised if, give it a year, it could drop on PS4. It could launch on PS4. You know what they did, that delayed launch for the lesser console, like Godfall and stuff like that. I wouldn't be surprised if later on we see it drop on PlayStation 4.
It's possible.
Yeah,
it's possible. You never know.
But
PlayStation 2 slander is off limit. I mean, it's PlayStation 2. Spider-Man 2 slander is off limits. No slander on Spider-Man 2. It's gonna be a good game, and it's gonna be PlayStation 5 only at this stage.
Never said it wasn't gonna be bad.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm not too sure on the story, but
Spider-Man sucks. Wait a minute, I'm sorry.
These nuts.
That's your Tourette's kicking in.
Everyone knows I'm not a Spider-Man fan, guys. I would much rather have any other character. I'm a DC fan.
Let me stop messing with Tryhard. No, actually, I'm
only on PS5.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's only on PS5 at the moment.
We just want Xbox to buy Marvel Studio games, but yeah. So Xbox Showcase Starfield Direct. So we'll start with the Xbox Showcase, shall we? Did you put a little chart somewhere? Where'd that go?
Scroll up.
I found it. Yes, there it is. Right, a lovely little spreadsheet. Did you do this at work or did you do it?
I did it at home. I have Excel on my computer at home. But let's get into it.
Did you pay for that?
Anyway.
So
I would be murdered if I was doing this on my work laptop.
I used to do this shit all the time on my work. Right, I'm gonna let you lead on it then, Brad, because this is your spreadsheet. So I'm gonna let you play with it. You lead on. So go Red. Go Red. Go.
You're gonna let me play with it? Oh my god. Okay, right. You just had to word it that way, didn't you?
I'm just gonna
well, I thought we could run around and just.
I'm so glad I was muted.
Yeah, exactly.
I
thought we could just hear from everyone's thoughts about the showcase, and then we could talk about like any individual. We'll go through the list and talk about the individual games.
Should we just score it off the bat? Should we just go?
Yeah. What's everyone's thoughts? What was everyone's highs and lows of the showcase as well? We'll start off with. I'm just going to go top to bottom. Ashtray, we'll start with you, and then hear from Elite, and then I'll be last. Ashtray.
Yeah.
Is he dead?
Hang on, I was muted. All right. Yeah, I'll go first. No problem. So I gave the overall showcase an 8 out of 10. I didn't really care for the Persona stuff myself, but it had fairly good pacing throughout. And as they could have, I know why they did it, but they could have put the Persona stuff in a sizzle reel or put it just like bang, bang, bang,
together, yeah.
and then move on. Yeah. But I know why they flushed it out, and you can understand that the showcase isn't always going to be 100% perfect for the individual. So, it is what it is. But my highlights, definitely Fable.
Mm-hmm.
That looked awesome. I like the fact that there's controversy around it, saying there was no gameplay when there was gameplay in there. And I even did a tweet that showed, like, I recorded the video and then I chopped it to put the gameplay just together. So you can actually see that on my Twitter page. That looks really good. I'm looking forward to that. Big Fable fan, just like you are, Red. Then we had the Star Wars game, which was really cool. It was awesome to see that Xbox could actually get that on their showcase over Keeley, because you would think that that would definitely be something that Keeley would have got. So either he missed out or wasn't aware of it, or Xbox outbid him, or Xbox probably has marketing rights. I don't know as it'll go into Game Pass day one, but it's definitely, you know, I reckon they've got the marketing rights for that to be shown. I could be wrong. 33 Immortals looks pretty good. That's kind of that dungeon crawler 2.5D, up to 33 players at once. So that'd be interesting.
We're not going to go through the games individually anyway, as a team. You're just running through every game, aren't you?
No, because I missed out. I skipped South of Midnight.
He's talking about very specific things around his highs and lows from the.
Oh, you liked? Oh, okay, got it. Okay,
yeah,
I'll
Elite.
I'll let you off.
You fucked it all up now. I've got to start again. All right, so Fable.
Start the intro. Welcome to episode 104.
from the top now.
All right. Well, look, I won't crap on too much longer, but definitely yes, Starfield. Hey, look, if you want content, I'll talk. If you don't want it, we'll let Red talk. Anyway, so Starfield definitely was a highlight. There was the extended, which showed, you know what? There was so much information on that extended show that I couldn't even sit through all of it. I was like, fuck, I'm done. You know what? That's enough information for me. I'm kind of overwhelmed right now with all the options you can do, with, you know, all the customization you can do, all the planets you can go to. It's just whoa.
4 hours of gameplay on character creation alone, right?
I know, right? Yeah. I'll just hit random. I'll just random it. I really will. I might play around with it for 10 minutes, but then I'll probably end up just going, yep, randomize, and then start playing the game. But that's just me. I don't really care for the character customization itself, but the other stuff, like the ship customization and all that kind of stuff, is really cool. So, all right, that's me.
Make my character look like Umbra. I don't think we should all make our characters like Umbra. We all ran around the universe, lots of Umbras.
Elite, what was your rating of the show, and what was your highs and your lows?
I'm going to give it, a 7 out of 10.
All right, Red, what do you think?
Oh.
You skipped 2 other people. You were giving it a...
He likes to hear your voice, that's what it is. He's got that spam in his hand and that toilet roll.
What?
Awkward moment. Anyway, Elite, what was your rating?
The guys know. Anyway, so yes, I'll give it a 7 out of 10 because I never scored anything at 10 out of 10 anyway. I think it'd have to be incredible to be a 10 out of 10. It'd have to have showed every single first party. You would have just had
Shadow drop every single game. That would have been a 10 out of 10 for you? 10
out of 10, yeah. And 9 out of 10 is my rate. So 7 out of 10, and that's a high score for me. The highs were, that game, what was it, that one where there was 30-odd players?
33 Immortals.
That looked fun. Yeah, fucking hell. It's a shame you can't get a party chat with 33 people.
Discord.
Discord chat, you moron.
We'll have to jump into Discord. Who uses Discord chat and playing a game? Come on.
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Get out of it.
I do.
Yeah.
She does.
When I play cross-platform with people, and when we
You're
play Halo together, and there's too many of us in the party.
Right, nerd.
It's so
that game sounds incredible anyway. That game, Starfield, obviously, was a massive highlight. I watched all of it because I'm not a fraud, and I thought it was incredible. The part that blew my mind was the space part, and the bit when they revealed the part about that you can not only shoot up ships and salvage them and everything, but you can actually board the ships, clear on board, nick the ship, then sell the ship. That's just like next level. So
you're just going to be a space pirate the whole time, Elite?
Yes, space pirate / prostitute. And then the other part was just the magic you get it. Did you see that?
The
bit
force powers.
Yeah, you get you get sort of supernatural things, can't you? I guess it's gonna be sort of alien technology or something, or DNA. I reckon it's gonna be something like that.
It's a
You get sort
Bethesda
of some
bug. They
sort
just incorporated it into the game.
yeah, you get mythical powers, so that's gonna be interesting. But yeah, the customization's incredible, and I probably won't know that whiny guy that follows you around because he's just irritating. But yeah, but the customization's going to be massive, and the ship building. I'm going to build such wicked ships. So everything about the game is just incredible, and to me, it's going to be the game of probably the generation. As long as it doesn't do a cyberpunk on me. And then what was the other highlight of the game? The other first party games didn't look too bad. I don't want to go into too much stuff until we run through it all. But yeah, 7 out of 10 for me. The down point was I would like to have seen probably some of the more from Hellblade, a bit more of the combat. And probably maybe I don't really. Everyone keeps asking release dates. They said the games are coming out in 2024, didn't they? They said Hellblade 2 2024, and I think Avowed was 2024 as well. That's all we need. I don't have to give you a specific date. I don't know why. But I just maybe like to have seen something on one of their other first party games that we've already touched on. But that's about it, really. But 7 out of 10 for me. You may now move on.
Umbra, what about yourself? What did you rate it?
I would rate the showcase a 9 out of 10, and for many reasons. One, it was one hit after another, right from the start. I thought the pacing was incredible, personally, because as Pete knows in the audience, we were watching it in their watch party, and all of us, and Red, you were there.
Yeah,
we were all like, is it over? Like, that's how fast it seemed to go by.
Unlike PlayStation's one dragged on.
Exactly.
When is it over?
Is it over yet? Oh, is it over yet versus it's over? Like, it's a different, it's a different vibe.
100%, yeah.
And we were just blown away. Like, we watched that Starfield part, and all of us were just like, wow. Like, wow, how? What? Wait, whoa.
What, there's more?
Like,
How is this?
we were making all types of noises just watching it. Like, oh, what? Oh. Like, it's amazing how crazy that game looks and how ambitious it is. And visually, it's so dramatically better than what it was the last time we saw it. It is. I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed. And then, we had this thought that EdTech had helped with the gunplay, because the gunplay looked dramatically better, but it actually only helped with the visuals. So that's something right there. I guess it's a little bit of a feather in the cap of Todd Howard and team. But as far as a 9 out of 10, and these are the reasons why. Just from Fable on through, I'll stick with Xbox Game Studios just for now. So we had Fable, which is anybody had talked with me, in the past, I guess, month or so, maybe longer. Actually, I'll go back further than that. Last year, I had been hyping up Fable, saying it needs to be at the showcase. And finally, they showed it at the showcase. I was hoping for a Fable collection, and we didn't see. And this is another thing I'll say. Outside of everything we saw, for this show to have been so well received, universally so, I'm talking about even from some diehard Hoove brothers of ours who, some of them came to reality, some of them still trying to deny it, but some of them came to reality. For that to be so well received without Halo or Gears there speaks volumes as to what we saw.
Yeah.
And how promising it all looked. So Fable, I mean, we saw that, we're thinking, oh, that's just in-game, cutscene stuff. And then the devs come out and they're like, no, that's gameplay. Some of that was gameplay mixed in it. And I'm like, come on. Like, come on. If we're really that far ahead to look like that, sign me up. Then we see Forza looking gorgeous. We see Persona 3 and 5 Tactica and what is that other one? Metaphor. 3 games from Sega and Atlas, being announced. 2 of them coming to Game Pass. Or as maybe Metaphor might be as well. But like, that's a big move. Now, we had already had it leaked about 3 and 5 Tactica before the show, but you all have to, and much like you, Ashtray, I'm not like, oh man, I need to play me some Persona. I've never played any, and I'm not the biggest JRPG fan, but I do appreciate them. I'm not against them. I just prefer Western RPGs. But this is big for a lot of different reasons, and it's largely because these games have always skipped Xbox. So trying to get a little bit of parity across the consoles matters a ton, you know. So that's pretty good. And also, so Star Wars is announced. Star Wars Outlaws, you know, is shown. Now, if they'd actually shown the gameplay we saw at Ubisoft show, it'd have been like they would probably elevated the show to a 10 out of 10 because I was blown away by Outlaws as well. But Outlaws is shown. That looks great. So I'm pretty sure they have marketing for that. We see Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty DLC. That looks great. Can't wait to play that. I put 450 hours into the first game, the game itself. So I know I'm going to put time in that. We see Flight Simulator looking good. We see Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2 looking good, one after another. Then we see some of these new releases. We see Avowed. And a lot of people tried to trash Avowed and, oh, it didn't look so good. It looks like a 360 game, et cetera, et cetera. I highly disagree. I think Avowed looks beautiful. I do think, you know, off the original.
It's not even finished yet.
It's not even finished, but I know a lot of people thought it would be darker and everything like that. But I still think it looks good for what it is. And I think we kind of assumed it was going to just be this dark world and look more photorealistic. But to me, it kind of speaks to Obsidian's DNA of what they had with Outer Worlds. It seems kind of Outer Worlds adjacent to me. So I'm not actually too shocked by that. Then we hit, so if I had to go to lulls, I would definitely agree with not with Persona, but Jacint, I would say. It's nice. I'm sure it's a nice little indie game, whatever. I'm sure it's going to be good. But Jacint, I'm going to say 33 Immortals didn't really wow me either. So I'll throw that in there. And of course, the Sea of Thieves stuff and you know, the Fallout 76, like stuff like that I don't care for. But we all understand why it has to be there because they have millions upon millions of subscribers and people who pay into those things. So I get it. You know, the ESOs, like people are, the millions of subscribers and that stuff. So I get why they have to do it. They have to, you know, make the ends meet when it comes to that. But I think the show was so well paced that it didn't bother me that they showed those other things for whatever they showed. It's not like they sat and waited on them for minutes, like 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. It was quick. It was like a minute or two, on to the next thing. 100% fine with that. You know, and then we saw Compulsion. We saw In Exile's game with Clockwork Revolution, which blew me away because it looked like, honestly, it looked kind of, I know I'm not alone here, but it kind of reminded you of BioShock Infinite, you know, in a way. Gorgeous. It looked great. Love the premise. You know that In Exile is going to bring their expertise in RPGs to it. Compulsion's game here that we're seeing here with South of Midnight, a really interesting like design premise. I want to see how it looks in action, but I'm excited for this too. It's so much to actually praise that I don't think you can come away with this anything lower than an 8 out of 10 to me. I think we just got so much here in this showcase, and then the coup de grace, what's the word they say, the cream of the crop. The cream of the crop here. We got Starfield for that 45-minute breakdown. Now, much like Guru, I watched the entire thing, Ashtray. I couldn't just watch some of it. I was sitting there, I was enthralled, man. I'm gonna tell you right now. I was sitting there like, wow. I felt like a kid again watching that. That's how inspiring that was to watch that live. And I've always loved Todd Howard's games. Oblivion is on my Mount Rushmore of games, right? I have a really strong feeling that after everything's all said and done, that this game might also land on that Mount Rushmore plaque, if you will, because this is going to be a generational, and absolutely, it's going to be a generationally great game. And I have argued, I'm going to close it here, but I just want to say I've argued before that I believe Starfield would be a game of the year, not contender, but winner. And I got a lot of pushback from that. Yo, you guys know, it's Alex.
Yep.
Well, he ridiculed me for that opinion. I simply
really
he did. I simply said, wow, because Zelda got its scores, and I was just like, wow, Zelda. Like I'm looking at the scores, blown away, like the scores Zelda's getting, and I said, wow, Starfield really has some crazy competition this year for Game of the Year. You know, honoring like, wow, look what Zelda just set the precedent for, right?
Oh, that's right. You did feature in his video.
I did.
Yes, I remember now.
Yeah. Now I thought that was harmless. I wasn't trying to down Zelda. I was simply saying, man, like you're gonna have some competition on your hands.
Yeah.
with Zelda scoring like this, right?
Yep.
Well, this
Yeah,
man
yeah.
takes it, and I know he had a dry week, but he threw me in there. He's like, "Oh, you think, you idiot?" I'm like, "What? Like, why would you do this?" And I think that it's become commonplace for people to try to downplay Xbox, and that's the problem I have. And because now all of a sudden Todd Howard is associated with Xbox because they own Bethesda and ZeniMax. Oh, now he's unworthy to get Game of the Year suddenly. Like,
Yeah.
stop. He's beaten Zelda games before. This is not something I pulled out of my butt. He's beaten them twice for Game of the Year. So too many people are too quick to just crown Zelda, and I think that it's a mistake. I think Starfield is going to actually usurp that title from them. I think they're going to win it.
It's going to be the least
And I'll
buggy
stick by that.
Bethesda game that they've done, which is nice.
That deserves an award on its own, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. and that, by the way, is kudos to Microsoft.
Well,
Microsoft deserves two credit. And I talked about this, and me, Rand, and Dealer, and everybody was talking about it, and we pointed out, like, outside of, and Rand actually pointed out, he said, had it not been for Microsoft delaying that game from 2021 up to now,
Yeah, 2020.
imagine what we would have seen then, because Todd Howard's going to put it out then.
Mm.
And
It was
then
Microsoft and Phil who said, no, we're going to delay it.
Then they waited till 2022, and then they were like, no, we still want you to put the time and effort into it. And you can just see the
Exactly.
difference between what was showed last year to this year. Like, those 2
Come
extra
on.
years,
Mhm.
and rather than just playing a game when it's too early to be released and they consistently patch it and patch it and patch it. Obviously, there will be
Absolutely.
patches coming for this game because, being the scope that it is, it's going to be massive and it's going to be buggy in certain areas because of what they're doing with the game. But it's going to be the least buggy one that they've done. They've had 2
Absolutely.
extra years on it. Yeah.
And that speaks to the precedent of past games, how they established themselves as Bethesda games.
Yeah.
But like, this is crazy that they've put so much Q&A effort into this to make sure that it's the least buggy, entry into the games they've made, and that's a lot. That says a lot. That means that they're not just going for quantity of games. Microsoft, Xbox, and Phil. They're saying no. We want top-notch quality, and that should speak to all of us because we are getting these things day and date into Game Pass. This is a new era for Game Pass. Once this launches into that, this is why I was arguing with people before. Even my co-host Daniel E.G.G, where I pointed out, listen, Starfield cannot launch with a 70 meta. It just cannot happen. If that happens, that will be detrimental to this brand, 100%.
Yeah.
This is why it's so important, and Phil and them understand this too. And this is why they gave them the time and the budget. And of course, budget means money. So if that many years delay, that means they paid them millions upon millions of dollars to do this. They paid millions upon the millions of Q&A to get the bugs down to a real reasonable, low number, whatever they are. We're still probably going to see something crazy like a planet, like, I don't know, getting sucked into a black hole by mistake or something. But it's still, it's still something to be said about all that effort to make sure this game is super polished. They want this to be the new standard for Game Pass, and who cannot get behind that? I agree, by the way, with Boba. Hogwarts now probably has a 1% chance, and I thought that back then simply because of the controversy behind Hogwarts.
No, it's got no chance now. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, it's usually 5 games. Is it 5 games?
6.
Like for the 6
Yeah,
games.
6
So,
typically.
They usually have,
so far, it's got to be Starfield's got to be in there. It's got to be, isn't it?
Starfield is going to be in there. That's why they put it in September. Why else would they put it there, right? They want to make sure people have enough time to play it before November.
Before we get into that anyway, we actually haven't heard from Mr. Bushido around his score for the showcase and his highs and lows. So, yeah. What are your thoughts on the showcase, Bushido?
I wasn't that big on Fable because I wasn't a big Fable fan. I like Fable, but not as big as everything else. But after seeing Fable, I was blown away. I was completely bored. I'm hyped for the game. I thought the trailer was fun, and it was enough of the jokes and to keep it, the humor of Fable, but also to enough seriousness to give it that new age feel of 46 seasons of gameplay. Then after Fable, which stuck with me. I mean, it really stuck with me. To see games like Clockwork Revolution, that was a nice concept type of thing. I didn't really get to see too much, but I was happy with what I saw. Just wanted to see what Inzal was working on. Just wanted to at least see what they were working on. and all the other games I was pretty happy with. But Starfield, I wasn't happy with. I was absolutely elated. I was just blown away by everything you could do in that game. And I remember being in that party, and we were like, man, and there's more,
Yeah.
and there's more,
Yeah.
and there's more. And I remember somebody bringing it up. I remember seeing that, and then somebody was like, man, it's like a half an hour still left of the showcase. Like, how much more is there left? Like, what else do they have in here? And they just continued on with more and more features that when I play this game now, I'm gonna be totally lost in it. I want to be a pirate. I want to board ships, and what was the other thing that you could do to us as a game, as far as making money was concerned?
Be a smuggler, or you can be a trader.
Yeah,
You can
that's it.
transport
That's
goods
it.
around.
That's right. Right. The aspect of joining a church just to and you get stopped by the zealots, and you could get attacked, but since you joined the church, they're like, oh, all right, we'll let you go. And then you go on your merry way. You're like, man, I just dodged a bullet. It's just so many things that this game is gonna do and do well
Mm.
that I I I really, like I said earlier, I don't want to play anything that's out now. I would like to close my eyes and open them back up, and Starfield will be here.
So just hibernate for a
But
little bit.
yeah, yeah. I still got Liza P. I'm still hyped for, and Stalker 2 and so forth. But that game Starfield, oh man, that's special. I'm with Umber too. Listen, I thought it had a small chance with Game of the Year. It's all a real trivial, small amount. And I was like, these guys aren't gonna want to sit and um watch me be hyped over just these few games. But I was just blown away by Starfield all by itself, because Starfield just continued to get better, more and more and more, further and further. It kept getting into the game, especially the customizations. The customizations was ridiculous.
Yep.
That didn't make any sense to be able to customize your weapons that way, your combat. Oh, I brought this up too with somebody else earlier. Remember we saw the preview last year, and when your character came in the room, and one of the NPCs drew his weapon on you, and the other one ran at you,
Mm.
and everybody on Twitter was like, the game's is busted. The AI didn't even know what to do. And now when I look at it now, was that character a melee character? And
Yeah.
that's why he ran up on him. I
Yep.
was like, maybe that's why he ran up on him. And all this time, everyone was killing that aspect of the game, and Bethesda couldn't defend it because that was not. I guess you could say a secret
Yeah.
as to what was going on with the combat's concern. And it's like, man, it was already there all that time, and we just didn't see it.
Mm.
And the game is just going to be fantastic. Once it gets here, I will do. I don't buy early access, but I will buy early access for that game. I will play that game for until the end of this year. Like, it's ridiculous,
We won't see you
absolutely.
again for another 5 years, probably, Bashudo. You'll be playing that game for the next 5 years.
Yeah, yeah. But I give that show. I had to give it a 9. I had to give it a 9. It was one of the best Xbox showcases, and that's I give it an 8.5 without Starfield. I boosted up 0.5, excuse me, 9.5. I boosted up an extra point for Starfield because Starfield just blew me away with more information, just being something that I was like, man, you can stop right now, and I've been good. And he just kept going and just kept going. It was amazing to me. I even watched the showcase 2 more times after that to see what I missed, and to see what didn't I retain for the Starfield showcase. It was really good.
There's so much on that showcase, that Starfield Direct, that there are things that I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. And I've rewatched it twice since, and I'm like, I forgot that they said this, and I forgot that that was in there. And
Yeah,
there's so much
yeah,
happening in that game. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. I'm gonna give
Try
my
Hard said
Yep.
in the chat, he says game of the year tends to lean heavily toward story based or story heavy single player titles. Absolutely agree.
Yeah.
And this is why Starfield, I believe, is going to win. The only thing that's going to hold it up is Zelda. These are the top two. These are your nominees right here. Everything else is second place.
Yeah.
It's going to be between
Mhm.
Zelda and Starfield, guaranteed.
Yeah.
I just happen to think Starfield might beat it out because it's going to
New
be a
IP.
generationally great game.
New IP as
I
well.
do agree with that.
Yeah.
I didn't think it really held the big because I looked at it as Starfield as a Fallout in space, and I was like, it'll probably get a nice score. It'll be in contention, but I I don't know about it winning. Now, no, I can't see how it can't win. I really don't. Spider-Man's never been good enough to be game of the year with this kind of competition.
Mm.
Not in my
I mean,
opinion. It's really gonna have to do something different.
yeah.
What were you saying?
I think Spider-Man will be nominated because it has to be. I remember at the end of the day, these things are nominated by sort of gamers, by sort of sites like IGN and stuff like that. These games are nominated by them, who put polls out, which then go to the gamers. You got to remember, the majority of these gamers are PlayStation fans, so they're going to win these polls, which then places like IGN and that are going to put them forward, and then that's why these sort of PlayStation games more or less always get nominated. So Spider-Man will be in the top 5.
I feel like
regardless.
I don't think it's really the gamers that do that though, Guru. I think they'll try to include us. Like, oh, gamers, what do you vote for? They don't really take into consideration what we're talking about.
No, they
You know
don't.
what I mean? Yeah, it's a participation
Yeah, that's
trophy.
what
Like
people
here,
know.
they
Yeah.
give us the second controller that with no battery in it. That's what they basically do. I just don't, you know what I mean? I just don't think that they take us serious enough to do that any real voting. But I can agree that knowing that it's Sony, they might try to put it in. I'm sure. And look, it's going to be a great game. It's my second most anticipated in the fall. It's probably my second most anticipated game in the fall. But we got so many crazy games coming in the fall. It's like it's insane. But I say it out that to say also Final Fantasy 16 might beat out Spider-Man for a slot.
Yeah.
Just to throw it out there because I think people will kind of overlook that.
Diablo 4
if you played it,
Diablo 4, yeah.
If you
Diablo
played it,
4,
you played that demo for Final Fantasy, Umber's got a real strong point with that. It's a really good game. It really is, and I felt that way playing just the demo. Imagine with the rest of the story and the rest of the game outlined. I don't know. I think Umber's got a good point with that. It really could. Not saying it is, but it really could steal Spider-Man spot.
Yeah, I
still think
you can't ignore Insomniac. There could be something in that game that could completely throw things out. But again, it is maybe not. Who knows? It's a wait and see.
Once I saw the game, I wasn't. Well, first of all, once I played the Spider-Man, the first one, and Miles Morales came out, I wasn't too thrilled with it because I was like, I just played the Spider-Man just recently. Like, I'm not too. Yeah, I'm not too hyped to play it again, but I'll do it anyway. And I played it and was really blown away by the story and Miles' abilities. Miles' abilities really added something to the gameplay. So I'm figuring, what else are they going to do with it this time around?
Yeah, who knows?
And it didn't really do anything to it. I can't see this game, jumping through that hoop, that fiery. But after seeing it, I have to admit it looked really good. So we'll see once you see how it's implemented and how much it's implemented. But at the same time, it's going to be a tough thing to do to beat a game. It has some of these new games, like you said, Diablo, and then add what Starfield's bringing to the table. And who knows how good Lies of P will be, and like I said, Final Fantasy. So it's going to be some
stacked year.
Oh yeah, some
Out of the lot, Starfield does look like the only game that's actually though pushing next gen. Do you agree, or
Yeah.
current gen?
Yeah, because it looked gorgeous.
Definitely pushing the creation engine.
Yeah, at least that, right? At least that.
But I'll just quickly go. I gave the show a 9 out of 10. The reason why I didn't give it anything higher than I could have was just because we didn't get an announcement of the frame rate of Starfield during the showcase. They only gave us confirmation about it afterwards. And I'm very disappointed with it being 30. I understand why it's at 30, but, you know, that's going to be me making my decision about how I want to play that game. But my highs, obviously Starfield, like I said before, I did not really... I was like, I'm going to play Starfield. I didn't know... I just didn't feel like a Bethesda game to me at that point. And then when we saw the Starfield Direct... That's when I was like, this feels like it has Bethesda DNA in it. This feels like a Bethesda game. This is something that I'm keen for now, and it really changed my perspective on that title as a whole. Like, I was intrigued by Starfield up until that point, but now I'm like completely sold on Starfield because I was like, now it feels like a Bethesda game. That's what I wanted, that DNA, and they showed that for me. The character customization, oh, am I going to be in there forever? Yes. Well, you guys are already playing, and 2 hours into the game, I will still be creating my character. But yeah, Fable was a big high for me because we watched it all in a watch party. I went back and watched it by myself just so I could watch it without all the additional ambience of the group. You know, just so you could like watch it in that isolation and really listen and focus on things that you missed before. And I was extremely impressed. There were some things that I had no care for Overwatch. Just didn't really care that it was there whatsoever.
I forgot it was even there.
I had, what was it? No care for. I'm just trying to think what else it was. Outer Scrolls Online, Necrom. I love Outer Scrolls Online, but I just didn't really care about it being there because we'd seen it earlier in the year. But yeah, I was super excited for Sea of Thieves. I'm a massive Monkey Island fan. And if you were paying attention, if you're a Monkey Island fan and you saw Stan in there, his jacket, they always have it running through his checkers on his jacket, does not move normally. It's like I don't know how to describe it, but that was in there, the music was in there. I'm like, I'm gonna have to play some Sea of Thieves again just to enjoy Monkey Island as a story.
I feel the same.
Yeah,
I feel you there, Pam, because I am a big fan of Monkey Island too.
Yeah.
And it's another LucasArts sort of team up, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they've got Indiana Jones and Monkey Island.
Well, it was so spot on to put that in. Like, this was just a collaboration waiting to happen, and it's finally happened. They did Pirates of the Caribbean, they've now got Monkey Island in there. So good. But let's get into it. Like, we can start off with actually talking through some of the games. I'm going to start us off on Fable because that opened the show. Were you guys happy with that opening the show? What were your thoughts on Fable? I've got lots to talk about Fable, but yeah, I know some of you guys have already talked about it, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I just want to say there was gameplay there, and who was it in that
the guy from the IT crowd?
Yeah. No, in the interview afterwards, there's an interview, wasn't there, afterwards, and someone said, you know, they wanted to see gameplay of it, and the guy come back at him and said, what did you see as gameplay? Did you see that interview?
No, I didn't see an interview.
Who was it showed that? I see a video that showed it recently. Someone questioned the guy. Someone questioned the dev about there being no gameplay in it, and he said, "What part of it didn't you understand the gameplay for?" Or something like that.
So along those lines. Yeah.
Yes, there was gameplay. Yeah. So, just like Hellblade, they're getting confused because it is actually a next level. People can't seem to sort of tell the difference between now cutscenes and gameplay, and that's a good thing. But they seem to be sort of complaining about it or just sort of trying to brush it off. But you could see that actually the gameplay in it. The gameplay was when he was trying to kill her and she was dodging and avoiding it. That was clear gameplay at that stage when I was looking through it again. That's if anyone's looking for the gameplay, look at that stage. That's a clear gameplay thing. So Yes, but yeah, there was gameplay there. But yeah, I'm gone. Sorry.
So say about 22 of those games that they out of like the 26 games, plus some like I guess like DLC, Dune DLC, showed gameplay in them. They weren't just CGI.
Yeah.
They basically majority of that showcase was gameplay. There were like 5 games, I think. About 5 games, 4 or 5 games that did not have any gameplay in them on the showcase. But like Star Wars Outlaws, which we'll talk about shortly, that was CGI, but we actually saw the gameplay in the Ubisoft Direct.
Sorry, Red, can we put this on screen? We can't, can you?
What?
So everyone can see it.
What's not on
I think
screen?
because you put a lot of work into these spreadsheets, so I was just wondering if you could put
My
these
thing not
spreadsheets
playing?
on screen so everyone can see it.
Look like it's a blank screen on me.
Yeah, I don't know why it went blank. It's weird.
Oh,
I
yeah,
see
yeah,
Xbox
yeah,
though.
yeah.
Okay,
See
fixing
the
it.
Xbox symbol for whatever reason. Oh, so
But can you
Pete had a
put your
question,
score
by the
on
way.
screen?
Pete had a question. He says, question without notice. What score will Starfield get, bearing in mind Zelda got 96? I will say it'll get in 90s.
92.
I don't know if it'll beat
91.
96,
Might be
but
96, though.
they have had 96 before, as we know, with Skyrim. It's possible. I just don't believe. I believe that Xbox tax, like Boba pointed out, I think it's going to hurt them.
Yeah,
So I think it'll be in the 90s. I don't know if it'll outscore Zelda.
It'd be lucky
91.
to beat 91. I reckon 91. Yeah, so I'd say 91.
Yeah, I said
It'd be
90
pulled
to a
down.
94. I believe I
Yeah.
said before.
Yeah, I mean, you said about the same. I said 92, 80. Excuse me, 88 to a 94.
That's what it was. 88 to 94.
Yeah,
Yep.
I can't. I would love to go 96. At the very highest, on his very best day, maybe a 96, but I can't go any higher than that. I can't see it doing any better than the 94.
You only want it to be 96, so you got receipts. That's why.
My question would be, what if it got like a 90, let's say a 92, but it won Game of the Year? Do you think people would be like revolting? How dare you let that? It's got less,
Yeah,
4
obviously.
points less. Yeah.
Yes, obviously. Just because even if the score was tied or if it was 1 point underneath, you would still get a revolt just because it's an Xbox game.
Yep.
And
Considering how
any game that was over.
Considering how we reacted to like Forza Horizon 5 getting its Metacritic score and then not being nominated for Game of the Year, and it scored higher than, so I think that will be a factor. Yeah.
But I think the Xbox is going to come in too, unfortunately, even though it doesn't make sense. But the minute it becomes an Xbox property, it already has diminished value. And I think that'll be the case with Starfield because of the fact, just because it's in the Xbox IP. You watch guys like MBG, Dreamcast guys who shouldn't be taken seriously, and I don't even like mentioning his name on other podcasts. Watch the show and not really watch the show, but was talking bad about the game the whole time and wasn't watching the show. And then contradict themselves by saying like, well, I'm going to review the game. I have to review the game. Like, no, you don't have to review the game.
Yeah,
you don't.
Those guys would give the PlayStation transitions, the PlayStation Showcase, how they have those transitions like 50,000 times. They'd give that a fucking 10 out of 10. You know, so look, man, these guys are staunch Xbox, PlayStation guys, anti-Xbox, no matter what. Just ignore them, mute them, block them, whatever. Just they got no idea.
The two big ones is amazing. The two big ones is Amazing Lucas. Amazing Lucas in his video.
Oh, he's another one. Yeah, he's another one.
The game doesn't run in. It doesn't have first party mode. They literally said first person mode. Yeah, and it literally said this game runs in third person and first person, and showed you playing in both.
Yeah, but Amazing Lucas is like special needs type of fella. As long as he's not injuring the public and he's not out there like
he paid no attention. He didn't watch
violently doing anything. Yeah. But he should sort of stay in front of in a house.
The showcase was good, right? By the amount of copium out there, the amount of trolling Xbox nonstop, and it's like, so you're trying to downplay the showcase because you're so upset that it made it it completely destroyed the PlayStation showcase.
Reddit's still happening today.
I know, it's great.
Nearly a week later.
It's great. They're so butthurt about it. And I'm not talking about all of them. Some of them actually are happy and were like, I'm really impressed with what the Xbox showed and et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, it works on.
Yeah. But the ones who really, really, really are hurt are the ones who can't get Xbox out of their mouth. And that's because they actually did a good job. So all this negative attention that they're thinking they're kind of downplay this, you just prove how upset you are that Xbox had a good showcase.
They dominated. Let's just be clear about it. That's why I titled my show the other day, Xbox Showcase Dominance. No, there is no shortage of dominance there, and that goes for Summer Game Fest. Summer Game Fest was better than PlayStation Showcase.
Yeah.
And Xbox Showcase trashed Summer Game Fest. I know some people are trying to put it down. They think I think some people subconsciously think they're being fair.
Yeah.
But if you watched that thing and you came away with anything less than an 8, you're not really being fair. You're just being a hard ass.
Yeah.
And by the way, just for you guys who we were mentioning Todd Howard in the games of the years he's won. Howard is one of the only developers to create 4 Game of the Year winners in a row, with Oblivion, Fallout 3, Skyrim, and Fallout 4.
Damn.
And I think this is about to be the 5th.
Whew.
Yeah.
He's the Meryl Streep of the industry.
Right.
How about that?
The Taylor Swift of the gaming, if you will.
Also, I was going to say on Dreamcast, well, it's brilliant seeing Dreamcast guy destroyed on Twitter. Did you see that? Where he moaned about the 30 FPS?
Oh, that dude. Man.
Honestly, he just...
Santa Monica dev it was that shot him down.
Yeah.
And destroyed him. And he deleted the tweet, but he just deleted all his videos he made.
But he knew though. See, I can't stand disingenuous people.
Yeah.
And that's it's one of my biggest pet peeves, Guru. So anybody who's like being fake, it's like, stop, man. I can't deal with it. So he's like, what, this game looks like this? And then the dev says what he says. Well, I guess I was wrong for thinking. You didn't think that. You knew what it was all along. You only said that to pander to your base. Let's just be real.
You look at how the end of his watch party, whatever he was doing, his reaction video for the PlayStation Showcase ended, and he was talking about how people were in the chat going, Xbox is better than PlayStation, like PlayStation is dead after this, and he was like, well, let's watch your showcase next, because you're up next, Xbox. And you just kind of knew that he was going in with this very sort of negative mindset immediately, because he was so upset about what had happened on the PlayStation Showcase. So I was not surprised by his reaction whatsoever. He just proved to be a butthurt fanboy the whole time. So yeah,
that's exactly what it is.
Fake neutral.
Somebody asked a question on Twitter. They said, which had more craters, the planets we saw in Starfield or his face?
I think we all know the answer to that.
Yeah. Greg at his recent podcast where people just destroyed him in the chat, weren't they?
Honestly,
Man,
he did it
trash
to
him.
himself. Like...
The insults that was coming out with.
He did.
I know.
He did. He does. He does it on a regular basis, and I think that I remember Umber said to us before when we were in the group chat, and he was like, I think he does it for clicks. And in some ways, in my head, I was like, I don't want to give him any credibility of having any part of brains that he doesn't have to come up with something like that. But then when I think about it, he just might be, because not saying that he isn't that bright, but there are times that his statements don't match up, or just what's the word for it again? Extravagant, and he makes sure that other people hears it. And then, but in this instance, though, I think it was a little bit of both with this one, because he just kept coming up with surveys, and he just couldn't continue to say enough bad about the showcase, and he just looking back each turn, and he just didn't care. He just kept going.
Yeah.
Well, he's like another Red Dragon, isn't he? That's what he reminds me of.
Let's get his grossness out of our conversation, because he's just a creep.
Never played it, never enjoyed it.
But like Fable opening up the showcase, we're gonna go back on to topic. I actually, if you were in the watch party with us, I was like, Fable's gonna open, and then next we're gonna see Compulsion's game, and I was right. I just couldn't believe that. Like we were sitting there waiting for the showcase to start, and we were all talking about what we were gonna see. And
that's the first time for everything.
I know,
Red,
right?
you
Well,
know.
I was right. I was right about last week's post poll that Elite put in the podcast last week. None of the 4 games that you posted, going, do you think these are going to show up? I was right. I said none of them are going to show up, and they weren't there.
Okay, well, twice. Thunder lightning strikes twice. It's rare, but it happens.
I reckon it would have been better if Fable was left at the end as a one more thing. Personally,
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was nice to start off strong.
Yeah.
I agree.
And it felt good.
It was nice to
for it to
start off not with a gas game.
but they could have started off with because they still showed Starfield for like
And
a
then do
couple
a
of minutes,
movie.
right?
Well,
So they could have actually
Right.
started off with that.
They
Yeah,
had
they
to
should
show
have did, yeah.
Starfield though, right? I know some people were like,
Well, not
why
during
was
this
it there? And
showcase,
I'm like,
no.
not everyone's going to watch the direct afterwards, so they have to still advertise it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
there's
guess
nothing
so.
wrong with it being there.
That's what I was gonna say. I did not at the end of the show. I thought it just sort of cut off and then just went to Starfield. I thought they should have maybe showed something, or Phil should have said something at the end, and then introduced Starfield. But it just seems to just sort of cut off.
don't know.
And just go straight to Starfield.
that transition I thought was kind of smooth.
Yeah.
And then it giving us just a little bit, and it's like, oh yeah, we got a little bit more for you. Let's just slide over here. Let me talk to you inside my office, and then it opened up into this whole thing with Starfield, and it just was more than what I expected, and I expected a lot from it in the first place. It was just amazing to me.
Yeah,
Well,
there was loads. Yeah.
I am
Go on, keep going, Rex.
super excited for Fable, guys. The whole Giants thing did not even
So
cross
am
my
I.
mind that they would be doing that. That was
Yeah.
so cool. The gameplay in it, I was like, the only thing that I'm really pissed off about is the amount of hate that the female hero in this trailer was getting online. I was like,
Mm,
like people
Yeah.
going, oh, I'm gonna have to play a female. I'm like, no, like historically, Fable games have allowed you to choose your gender, and this might be the first Fable game that actually allows you to customize what your hero looks like, because you always just got forced into whatever was available.
True.
And so, like, just the why is it that every game has to have this unrealistic image of a person on there? Why can't it just be more down to earth little? And that's what I liked about that. I liked that it was down to earth, and you just weren't getting this unrealistic.
But Red,
idea of a
you
hero.
know as well as we do that was just the ponies moving the goalposts again to find another narrative to hate on the
Hate on
Xbox
Fable, yeah.
showcase.
Hate on
Yeah.
Fable, yeah.
That's all it was.
That's what I took the character as. I thought she was
Just a
sort of a
generic.
character, a generic character. Yeah. So she could be a man or woman because it's your choice. So because it's completely open to creation, they've just gone sort of down the middle with a character.
They've kept chicken kicking in the game. I'm so happy about that, because that is a staple. You have to be able to kick all the chickens. I love just
Was she
like
kicking the chicken?
how like
Did you hear the guy's comment after she kicked the chicken?
yeah, he was like, oh yeah, I can't remember what he said exactly.
Oh, yeah, wanker.
He went, "Oh, well done." No,
No, he's like, "Oh, yeah,
that
well
guy
done."
said, "Oh, well done." Yeah, well done.
Oh,
The
yeah.
other one that said the wanker is when she was talking about acting tough.
That's when she looked back, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's when she looked back like, what you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's unfortunate that gamers do that, by the way. And I saw this real idiotic guy who's very questionable. I won't go into details, but he shared in like, oh, she's ugly, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, my brother, do
so
you
that
see
was-
yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, before you start judging, like, you should relax a little bit. And by the way, we found out who the actual model for that character was. Her name is Lily Nichols.
Yeah.
She's actually a cutie.
Oh.
I think it's a bad angle that showed her looking
Cutie,
like that, and
cutie.
people ran with it. So it's unfortunate. I would actually say too, Playground could probably be better on how they model the hair,
Yes.
because it looks like it's off, like it looks like a wig. If you look at her and then you see it, you're like, you'll see what I mean when you actually look
She's
at
just
the
a master
actual
of-
model.
She's just a master of disguises, right?
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've also got to remember the game's not finished.
Yeah.
True, it's not finished,
We're
so
not-
I expect them to polish it up.
What
With
is
no
25
date
release
given,
date,
I
Graham?
reckon this is 2025.
Yeah, 2025. Definitely.
Hopefully early 2025.
Yeah, there's no date given
They've
for
already
it.
said-
2025.
yeah.
Yeah.
They've already said Avowed and Hellblade 2024. This will drop 2025.
Yeah.
It's
So
possible.
that's-
If they happen to drop this next year too, my God.
Honestly, the
Oh, no,
the engine, the way this game is gonna look, Fable's gonna be beautiful.
Murder.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so excited. After Fable, we had South of Midnight. That's Compulsion's game, and people complaining about this not having gameplay. I'm like, this is its first time it's been announced and shown, and what they showed with that stop motion animation, this looked fire. I was
Yes.
so taken aback by just the showing of this, and I'm like, I can't wait to see how this kind of shows up in game and what we get to see the next time we get to see this title. That looked so good. What were your guys' thoughts?
It
What's his
looks
face?
amazing.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's that director's name that makes those weird, quirky movies?
Tim Burton?
To stop. Yeah, Tim. It looked like a Tim Burton
Ah.
game, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
that's
similar
what-
to yep.
Yeah.
In that vein, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I thought, it
Or even
looked
that
very
Pinocchio
dark.
game that recently, movie that recently came out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I think it's going to be very dark and very sort of quirky and weird, and I think it's going to be sort of Compulsion Games esque, and it's going to be interesting to see where it goes, what style of game it is, because I still couldn't grasp what style of game it is, because at the end she sort of had like a thread, didn't she? Like a knit little thing and sort of unwound it and sort of defeated the boss with that, and it sort of just wonder what kind of gameplay and what style of game it is. So, but yeah, that's gonna be something to watch out for. But I reckon that'll be a 2025 title as well, though.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Prosciutto, you were going to add something to that.
I was saying that game what's it called again? The North of
South of Midnight?
South of Midnight. Yeah. That game reminded me of a Bayou story. It's funny how when I
100%.
talked to a few other people, you get some of the concepts of ideas that I didn't see, and it's funny how when they talked about the story that I thought it reminded me when they were saying that well, is it going to have fairy tale elements in it? Because we were talking about Fable at first, and I said, yeah, I could see that, but I could see it being more on the level like Shrek. And in this one, I could see this one being very dark, and I could see the art to me remind me a lot of Miles Morales, the movie, the Spider-Verse
Spider-Verse.
movies. Yeah, and I found it very attractive for that type of art style and to pick that art style. We get to say a lot of studios don't try anything different, and they stick to trying to keep it too safe. And believe me, they really went out on a limb for this type of game, this type of story, this art design and everything. I'm
hyped
pretty
for
stoked
it.
for
Yep.
yeah, for not knowing that much about it. I'm actually pretty stoked for it, and I like the kind of the comedy where she was trying to get them to look at the picture and was like, "Hey, you see this monster? It looked like this, and it
Talking to
looks
the
like
rabbit.
this, and that." Yeah, and so nobody's answering her, but the rabbits are looking, and she's still going on about it, and come to find out he's behind her, and she's like, "It's behind me, isn't it?" And there he was, and she brings up this spool. And the spool starts to glow up, and I'm like, "Wow, I wonder what kind of weapon that is." It's very intriguing.
I can't wait to see more
Yeah.
on it.
My take would be that it's some type of capturing device to capture the spirits, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, like Ghostbusters.
Mhm.
Yeah. But it looks really interesting. I like the design of her. I like the voice acting too. I think
Mhm.
fits really nicely.
Yeah.
Something
You
I just
know.
saw. I saw Pete Points had said, and I agree with you to a degree, Pete, but then I'll say, because he says the truth is human nature makes us drawn to beautiful people we are more likely to be empathetic towards. And I agree with that,
100%.
but I
Right.
wouldn't say it's human nature more than societal standards.
Conditioning, eh?
Because it's a conditioning, I think, like, oh, this is the standard of beauty that you have to adore. versus conventional, regular, everyday people. Because most of us are like that Fable character, whether we want to believe it or not. You know what I mean? Like most of us think in our heads that we are the hero of this story of life, but we are the average Joes. Let's just be real. And so when we see somebody who is so pretty, I think we place on them much more than they deserve when it comes to beauty standards and such.
Yep.
And I think it's a societal thing that has, made us fascinated with the Kim Kardashian look, or you know what I mean? And at the time it was the Marilyn Monroe thing, you know what I mean? So I think it's a societal standard that has peppered our thoughts more than just human nature. But anyway,
we know the
but
people
getting
on
back-
Twitter that were trolling were just neckbeards anyway.
I mean, absolutely. That's the most funniest part and disingenuous part about it. It's like, oh, look at her. If she came at you, let's just imagine if the girl was to come at them and they were in video game form, they'd be throwing themselves on the knife to protect her. Like, stop it. You all would be simps for her in real life.
Absolutely.
Like, stop downgrading this character. It's a character. Like, come on.
Simps for Jim, Ryan, he's not the most attractive man at all. But they were simps for each other.
Yeah, criticize our Jim. He has to get his yacht. Yeah, like, yeah, that's just silly. It's silly at the end of the day. That's what we come to anyway.
Yeah.
And I think that over time we've degraded
Elite.
more and more when it comes to our thoughts on games and gaming.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
I agree.
and that's just one of them. It's the like Aloy. Somebody mentioned it. Try Hard Fan mentioned it's the Aloy situation again, and he's right. It's like that whole thing. I was like, why are we debating this girl's look in a game? Like, she looks perfectly fine. I don't expect her to be some supermodel in some post-apocalyptic setting. And I don't expect some supermodel British woman back in the whatever timeline that would be in Albion and the fantasy, I found it so silly.
Well,
anyway,
I guess going back to that, like, they were happy to play with a female protagonist on the Horizon series, but complaining about the potential of playing as a female protagonist on Fable just because it is an Xbox game, like, you guys really need to, like, choose your battles.
Yeah,
well, people are quick to forget Tomb Raider. I always bring Tomb Raider up because that's just the most obvious, but people always forget about that, right?
Yeah.
Like, and there's a plethora of other games with female character as the lead, or that you can pick as a lead. It's just noise to make noise, really. And I mean, what's sad is that it spurs articles that came out saying there's not enough female characters when there actually is. So, it's just
what they mean by that, well, there weren't enough attractive female characters, is what they were trying to say, but they couldn't put it in the article.
Yeah, that could be it. Maybe that's what but even then, it's like
attractiveness is still subjective.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
As well, right?
Yeah.
Guru, you curious?
Because Red finds Dauntless attractive.
Who?
Oh, fuck me.
Is who attractive?
I think you do, Elite.
Dauntless.
I think it's you, buddy.
Elite, this is the last time you were on the show, right? That's what I heard when you made that comment. That's exactly what I heard.
That's it.
But yeah, what do you guys think of Star Wars Outlaws?
I thought it looked cool.
Did you watch the Ubisoft direct where they actually gave they showed a bit more on it?
Yes, I was very happy to see what I seen. The game, I was concerned that the game would look a little Ubisoftish. You know what I mean?
Yes.
A little bright. Looked like a cross between Watch Dogs and the Division or something like that. But it doesn't look anything like that at all.
Star Wars, right?
I was surprised that Ubisoft can make a game that doesn't look Ubisoft-ish. So the game looked actually pretty good. I was surprised. And as the game was going along, I was like, oh, I said, this would be cool if this was a bounty hunter or outlaw game. And sure enough, it was. And I was pretty happy with that. I was happy with what I saw and continue to sword. Is it sword? Is that what you guys over there in Middle Earth? Sword? When you saw something, but it sword seemed.
When we saw something?
Yeah, never mind. So anyway,
or seen something?
Yeah, seats. Yeah. So, I thought it was great. I thought it looked really good, and I'm excited for that game too. I was really surprised. What was it? The third game, right? Oh, excuse me, number 2 game. It was after. It was right after Fable, wasn't it?
Star Wars Outlaws was right after South of Midnight. So it was
Something midnight.
it
Got
was
it.
the third game that we saw. And
That's
this is
it.
2024
Yeah.
as well, so I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's on the
next one's gonna be
Snowdrop
pretty
engine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful engine. So they've always
I don't think it'll be.
like the Division.
I don't think
They
next year
look
will be as
great.
bad as this year. I don't think next year will be as bad as this year, but it's going to be bad enough. It's starting to look like.
Yeah, next year's going to be pretty bad, though, I think. Well, I think we've got
Mhm.
more idea of what's coming in third party and Xbox next year than we do of what PlayStation's doing.
Right, yeah.
But, like,
Yeah.
Star Wars Outlaws, which is made by Massive Entertainment, who did the Division games, I was a little bit worried about the trailer shown because you know what they did with the Division, and then what they also did with Watch Dogs, and then when we got to see the gameplay of it on the Ubisoft showcase, I was very impressed with the fidelity on display there, because they showed gameplay in there. It looks like it's gonna be a really good game, from what I've seen so far, and I'm a massive Star Wars fan, so.
Well, one thing's for sure, you know that the gunplay is going to be sick
Yeah.
because they've got the gunplay down pat. They do the stealth elements so that hiding or behind something's, they've again got that down pat. I think the aesthetics is exactly what Star Wars is. It looks like a Star Wars world. So, we can tick that box. We know the gunplay is going to be good. We can tick that box. It'll be dependent on their structure of the game, I think, more than anything. And looking at this trailer, they're going to show you the best bits, but you do a bit of you've got a bit of gunplay, then you go into a chase scene, and then it shows you a battle in space. It's ticking all the boxes for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's for a fact. I don't think it's going to be open world. I think it's going to be those hub worlds, but that's still fine in itself.
Yeah.
Are we going to see any swords or any lightsabers? I don't know. I hope we do still, but I doubt it.
I doubt it too. Maybe sword, maybe some other type of weapon, but
Yeah.
not a lightsaber. So
Yeah.
I think they're trying to differentiate themselves, and they should. If you're going to make her be the smuggler, don't make her be a Jedi part-time too.
Yeah.
You fall into the trap of Rey,
Filter.
the whole Mary
Yeah.
Sue thing. Oh, she's also a Jedi somehow. Like, okay, that's enough.
Mm.
But blown away by that game during the Ubisoft showcase. Seeing it here and this was like Pete said, and like you said, Panda. Like we were all like, "Oh, Star Wars!" We were excited.
I was
but
not
as
expecting this.
I wasn't either. And I at first I thought, is this the rumored, ESO team making Star Wars? Is it Mandalorian? No, I was excited to get my hype up, and I was like, oh, it wasn't. Okay, it's massive.
This is
But
Yeah, that's what I was hoping
we
for.
haven't had a game
Like,
like this
yeah.
in Star Wars, and a video game like this. Like we've had all the Jedi versions of everything. You've got playing as like Boba Fett and all this other characters, but you've never really had an option where you could be kind of like that Han Solo life. Where,
True.
Yeah, so I
True.
think that's really cool that we're kind of getting that side of it. Which
I
is
agree.
nice.
I like that. I even like they gave her that kind of 70s hair bob thing they got going on. You
Yeah.
could tell it's set back in that time, like the way they like Han and everybody's hairstyle looked back then,
Yeah.
which I think is a nice touch. I think it depends on a few things, right? Like the character can annoy you. Like we look at Forspoken, for instance, and that girl is annoying as hell. I played 3 hours of Forspoken and I was like, that's enough from you. It's like I couldn't hear any more of that. It's like, all right. And now then you see the reviews and people reflect exactly what I felt. And I was like, that's what I thought it would be. And that world was terrible anyway. The only thing I liked out of that was some of the spell casting looked okay and it was just parkour was nice. But other than that, no thank you. But this here, they touted it as being this first open world Star Wars games. I'm not sure how true that is because we played Jedi Survivor, all of us, and it's like that's open world. So what do you mean by that? You know what I mean? Like I don't really get that tagline of them using that. It seems unnecessary to say that.
Well, the
So I'm interested in figuring out why they're saying that because Jedi, like if you say Fallen Order, I can understand that, but Jedi Survivor is proper open world. Like that planet,
yeah.
that is one of the biggest planets I've ever like played a game on. So you can't say that's not open world.
Yeah.
It's still you go to different planets, but that is an open world design when you
Well,
get to that planet.
You have no choice but to go to different planets because it's set in space,
True.
right? Yeah.
And it's a story part of it, element too.
But
So
I mean,
to me, it depends on the other story, how they handle the story, the character, if she's likable, and the combat. Is the combat solid, which we can all expect it to be? I think the game will be fine.
the actress voicing this character, I've seen her in a few different other things, and she's actually really good. So I don't have any concerns. The other actress who was voicing that Forspoken person, I was always like, I don't know, your acting seems a little bit fake in real life anyway, and it was even exacerbated by just doing voiceover for the game, or voice acting. But yeah, I'm not too worried about this one. I think this one, she's going to be fine.
Yeah, I think so too. I hope they just don't fall into any tropes like, well, I mean, let her be the character. Let her be the hero. I would say, don't let anybody come in and Han Solo her. You know what I mean? Let her be the Han Solo. Let her be the character.
Let's be honest, Nyx is going to be the big drawing for everyone. The little animal.
The rope.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've seen a lot of people liking the droid she has too.
Oh
and he does look kind of cool.
Yep, the droid she's got. Yep.
Yeah, we'll see how they handle it. I expect good things though. I was actually really impressed by that.
Yeah.
Elite, do you want to add anything into the Star Wars Outlaws?
Yeah. Other than I was kind of hoping it would be more sort of RPG, where you sort of create your own character and choose your own sort of path, kind of thing. But it did look good. It did look good. I probably won't buy the game straight off the bat because I don't really like those kind of single player games. But
just get the.
But it does look good. So
just subscribe to the Ubisoft thing.
Ubisoft. It's Game Pass Ultimate, isn't it?
No, that's only EA.
It's only EA. No, what's the Ubisoft thing? Oh, it's not in there, is it?
Nope.
It's on thingy. Yeah. So yeah, I probably won't buy it, but unless it was a sort of a proper RPG, you create your own character, yada yada yada. But yeah, it looked good. It did look good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's set between Empire and Jedi as well, isn't it? Which is quite an interesting period of Star Wars.
Empire Strikes Back and something else. Yeah.
Yes, Return of the Jedi. Sorry, yeah.
Set
so,
in between there.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's a good period of Star Wars as well. So I'm going to see more of it. So, but yeah, I would have liked to have it been That's what I want to see, the bounty hunter tales. That's what I would like to have seen. I think Infinite touched on. I'd like to see more of that. I'd like to see more of the bounty hunter because there's so many good bounty hunters out there. If you've read the bounty hunter books, they're really good.
Did you watch the Ubisoft
more based on those?
Direct?
No, I didn't watch that.
Watch it for the Star Wars Outlaws. It's got a lot more on there, and you'll get to.
Has it got more on it?
You'll get a feeling, a little bit more of a feeling about what the game is going to bring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Good. I'll watch it then. Thank you. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
Oh, sweet, cool.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Why are you still here, Elite? 33 Immortals. I have a feeling that game is going to be like one of our CGN games.
Fire.
Do you reckon 33 Immortals? We're just going to try and get 33 of us in for
you know what?
community game.
That's going to be hectic. That's going to be hectic. We'll have to do it through Discord for sure.
We should do it. We should definitely do that and stream it or broadcast it. That would be
we have to do that. Yeah. I can only imagine how annoying that will be, though. But maybe if we did it just one time, maybe we'll be all right.
I mean, even if
so many views.
Yeah.
It'd be dope, though. It'd be fun. Get so many views, and the conversation would be mental. Yeah, I think we should definitely do that.
I would say if we do it, let's do it.
Yeah,
and let's do it amongst people we know.
Yeah,
because I can imagine playing with some randoms. We're gonna be mad.
Oh no, it won't be randoms. Yeah, it'll be
that one random who doesn't revive people, and you're like, revive,
revive me.
I could be helping you right now. Oh, you died. Oh, why did you not revive me? There's always one, right?
It's always.
And we all
Steph might actually do that to us on his own. Actually,
yeah,
now
that's
that I think
true.
about it, might be crazy.
Yeah.
The good thing is if we all streamed at the same time, so whatever channel someone goes to, you can see that person's perspective, but playing the same game, which would be interesting as well. So yeah, that'd be good fun. The only thing I'm thinking about the game, I think it's 33 players. I got a feeling it's sort of like if you die, you're permanently dead, and the rest have to carry on.
No, you can revive. Did you watch the gameplay? of
Yeah,
the
you can replay, yeah.
extended Xbox showcase. Phil was playing it.
Oh, this. Oh,
and
right. And you,
so he was talking to
revived.
the developers, and you show up as like this little light orb, and someone can like hover over that and revive you. Yeah.
Oh, right. I'm struggling to see how the game could be a struggle. Then I have to just see it.
Well, it's
It's got to be intensely hard for 33 players to fail.
It's just insane. Like, because you're not 33 altogether. You've got a big map. You get broken up into smaller groups.
Team up.
Yeah. So you have your little team that you're sitting around with in your area, going through where you need to get through, and then you all kind of end up in the same area eventually, from my understanding. They didn't show a full...
this game's going to be the new Battle Royale, isn't it? You can just see it already. You can see other developers seeing this and going, oh, wow, yeah, we can do this. We can touch on this and improve it and make it better graphics and do this, twist it, and make it bigger.
Who knows?
How pretty.
I like the graphics. I mean, I like that art style. Yeah.
At first, when it popped up, I thought, is this Hades 2?
Yeah.
Or something? That's what I first thought.
I thought the art style, and then I looked at it, I'm like, no, that's definitely not it.
Yeah.
But what I mean is, PUBG started the genre, and then everyone picked up on that and just made it better version of it, and that's what.
It'll be
PUBG
interesting.
Stole it off something else. It was like a mode or mod in another game, and then PUBG turned it into a full proper game.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
But then Fortnite stole off them.
Yep.
Fortnite was actually funny because Fortnite was making an entirely different game, like a structure building type of. I forgot. Like, what do they call that? I cannot think of the name of it.
Base building.
Base building. It was way different from what we get now.
Yeah.
But by the way, Clockwork Revolution, man, I'm just still blown away every time I see it. It looks so damn good.
It looks so fucking good.
So polished. I like that game. Like it could be ready for this fall.
Oh, it looks good. It looks good. Has any of you played the Payday games? I've never played them, but Payday 3, I wasn't expecting that. And that's a heist game, and that's, I guess, why Contraband wasn't there. You've already got a heist game coming up.
I actually thought it was Contraband for a second. Yeah, I'm actually. I mean, it's cool. It's coming straight to Game Pass, but I've never played it either.
In the 70s, right?
I think so. Yeah, I believe so. But like this right here, like this is something I'm willing to try with all of you guys too. I mean, what is it? 3-player, 4-player?
4-player. Yeah.
4-player heist. I love heists. Like that's why GTA 5 heist I still love to this day. It was really well done. But yeah, this would be fun. I would get into that heavy, especially since it's coming to Game Pass. Why not? Yeah, that's a W.
Anyone else to add there? Are you happy for me to move along? Persona 3.
Move along. Yeah, move along.
You want to add anything to Persona 3? I'm not a Persona fan, so didn't move the needle for me. But I'm glad that people who are a fan, if they choose to navigate over to Xbox, oh crap, I'm knocking things over, can play this game. If they are a big fan, and they can play it on their Xbox now, which is really important.
Absolutely. I'm a firm believer of the mind when it comes to this, that Xbox should have what PlayStation has when it comes to third party.
Yes.
Barring some type of deals being made, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if it's just games that no deals have been made on, yeah, it should be over here too.
Yep.
And Persona is one of those. Final Fantasy is one that should be, but Square makes their bed, you know what I mean?
How many?
The Yakuza series came over finally. That needed to be over here too. So I'm all for it. And I do like the Yakuza games. I've never played any Persona, but much like you, I'm not going to be like, poo, get this game out of here, because I know there are thousands, maybe tens and maybe hundreds of thousands who do want to play that. So I'm happy that they get the chance to play that too.
There was like 24, I think, games shown that are coming to Game Pass on this showcase.
I think it was 27 shown, 21 coming to Game Pass, if I'm not mistaken.
Some of the third party are still coming to Game Pass. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's a W. It's a W. There's no other way around it. It's a major W. And again, and that's why we mentioned it earlier. We were talking about Fable opening. I thought it would be Hellblade 2. And I was disappointed that we didn't see like combat from Hellblade 2 and everything.
Yeah, I agree with that.
To see how it looks, so that's why it wasn't a 10 for me. But opening up with Fable and then having hit after hit of exclusive world premiere. Yeah, world premiere exclusive. Like it felt like we were like at Christmas opening new presents. That's what it felt like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just felt good. So I don't know. I'm hyped. I'm hyped beyond belief.
What were you guys' thoughts on
yeah.
Avowed then? Because Avowed showed up next after Persona 3.
Yep.
Because we saw it back in 2020, right? That showcase in 2020 where they just announced Avowed. And we saw a little bit of what they were potentially going for with the game, like the style, the darkness and such. And then we saw this game show, and it had a very different look and feel to what we originally saw back in 2020. What were your guys' thoughts on Avowed?
Well, I mean, come on. The first one was a CGI, just to give you an idea of the
Exactly,
aesthetics and the look, right?
Yep.
This is a game in progress.
Yep.
So it's still not finished. I've had a look at it a couple of times. Some of the textures do look a little off here and there, but I mean, again, it's not finished. I think what they showed is indicative of what it will look like. But I think we'll get a more polished presentation later on. And then when the game launches, it'll look what we expect a game from Obsidian to look like. It'll look good. It'll have that. Hopefully, it doesn't look like Outer Worlds, because I want it to be like easily identifiable and separate from that. So because to me, Outer Worlds is kind of I don't know, the best way I can sort of explain it is kind of cartoonish.
Yep.
So if they can sort of stay away from that and make sure it looks, other than that, I've got no problem with it. I mean, I prefer third-person views in games these days, but you know, it is what it is. I just want to really quickly go back. Just looking at Xbox's tweet after the show, they said 36 games in the show, 35 including in the next 12 months, 33 games coming to Game Pass. So, I actually hang on. That might be an old tweet.
That's an old tweet because they didn't show that
That's
many
an old tweet.
games.
Oh, it was around 30, wasn't it?
No.
I think those last years.
That's
No, it might have been last year's.
Oh, so I guess close to 30, but yeah. Insane.
Yeah, I sort of agree with what Australian Gaming says. That I think the graphics they changed. Yeah, it did look a bit cartoony, but yeah, the original product was sort of I think a mock sort of the idea of what they're going with, and then sort of the recent product is what they're actually running with. Probably is a little bit cartoony, but then I was just wondering if they're trying to differentiate themselves away from sort of Bethesda and Skyrim as well.
Yeah.
Because I think when we first see it, it did look identical to Skyrim. It looked in the exact same vein. And I don't know if you guys, any of you casuals, ever played Heretic or anything like that on the PC. There's a game ages ago called Heretic, a really good game. I think they made 2 of them. The gameplay mechanics looked sort of very similar to that. Not as cartoony, but very, very similar sort of vein to that. So hopefully it's sort of following that, because they were great games, and they're sort of, I don't know who they're made by, to be honest. I'm gonna look it up, but and I'm gonna look it up and post it to you guys. But yeah, I'm quite hyped for that. I'm more hyped for that than at this stage probably Fable. So there.
Well, Valve's coming out before Fable, so that is understandable.
Oh, yeah. So. Well, I'm hyped. I mean, I'm hyped by sort of just what I sort of see and know so far.
Well, you saw more gameplay of Avowed, yeah.
Yeah.
Umbro, your thoughts on Avowed? No. Cricket?
No.
I was muted. What was that? I'm sorry.
I was just asking
muted.
your thoughts on Avowed.
Blown away, actually. Not blown away, but I was actually really excited for it. Much like Ashtray said, it's like what we saw previously was just like largely CGI. So we didn't really have a base to be like, oh, this doesn't look like it should, you know.
Yeah.
We really didn't. Also, it was a different setting. Daniel pointed this out to me when we were talking about it, and he was like, well, people are saying that it looks different and downgraded, but what we're seeing is one location that looks really colorful, and everything else, it was basic and regular. So it wasn't like the whole thing was palette colored up, you know, and bright, you know, and then you're doing attacks that's magical in nature. So that's going to make it look vibrant as well. You know, I think a lot of the complaints have much ado about nothing. Ultimately, I can't fault anybody if they want it to look, you know, more realistic than than stylistic. But listen, you get what you get, and this is Obsidian. You're going to get a great game at the end of the day. That's all I care about. Is that does it work mechanically well? Does the story solid? Are the characters engaging? You know, do you get to learn more about this lore in interesting ways? They said already that they're going to treat it much like they did the Outer Worlds, as far as like it having its hub world type of thing situation. So it's not going to be some open world kind of thing, which I think is fine. I think hub worlds work very well in most of these games. God of War, you know what I mean? Gears, things like that. It works well when you know if they craft it right. So I think it's going to be solid. I'm all for it.
I'm not worried about it at all. Obsidian for whatever reason has just been putting out great games. And I'm not saying for whatever reason isn't in a bad way, but like you can't ignore what they've done in the past and then go they can't do a great game here. Because like Obsidian,
I agree.
They did, what was it? Was it Fallout New Vegas?
Yeah, was it yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right? Everyone loved that.
Yep.
So they do know how to make RPGs. They know how to make it fun. They have curated over the many years that they've been developing titles a great baseline for what we can expect from their games. And for people just to trash it because it didn't reflect what we saw in 2020 is kind of disappointing. 2020 was just going, here's a new IP we're working on. This is what it is at current state, what we're going for. Development changes over that time. You know how they put on those trailers, not indicative, like final gameplay may change, whatever. They always kind of put that sort of note on there if they aren't really sure if they're still finalizing things. And I think the same thing is said there. They didn't know what Avowed was going to be like at this current state back then. So they put out what they thought they're going for around Avowed, and now we're getting what they actually are pushing on Avowed. There's still going to be changes. This isn't indicative of what we're going to see on the final showing next year. So we're going to see it again, and then it's meant to be released in 2024. So people just seem to have forgotten about how development works and have stopped engaging, critical thinking or their brain for some of the reactions I saw on the showcase. And I'm like, are we so ungrateful as gamers that we just can't acknowledge that this is just a quick showing of it? The game isn't out yet. It could change. They showed us so many other great things, and we are just complaining for the sake of complaining at this point, and I don't see why.
Yeah, as usual, it's blown out of proportion.
Yeah,
and just ignore the noise. Yeah. It's going to be a good looking game.
I was impressed with it.
Yeah. Like I said, a couple of dodgy textures here and there.
It actually looked like a better ESO. It looked better than ESO.
Yeah.
It reminded me of how I was playing ESO.
Now, our esteemed brother Riskit said he thought it on a show yesterday. He was in the chat. He said he thought it looked like a 360 game.
Yeah, but Riskit just wants attention.
Riskit complained about Starfield being delayed, right? But look at last year's showcase of it to this year's showcase of it. I am so glad for that delay. So Riskit, love you as much as I do. Sometimes
and I bet when he saw Starfield,
wrong.
And I bet you when he saw Starfield, he got a little woody.
Yeah, I think we all did. Like,
little
I was like,
correct.
God damn, this game looks good.
Shit.
I was not expecting it.
To be fair on him on Starfield, he wasn't against it being delayed, just to say. But he was saying that they
the 12-month thing. He was against them. He was like,
I know that if I didn't correct that, he'd be mad. Like, bro, I didn't say that, bro. I already know. That's why I had to correct it.
I love your Australian accent.
No, he. It was more on the messaging. It didn't come out in that 12 months, which he was annoyed.
Right.
So they didn't live up to that.
Still had a proviso at the bottom of that, which I pointed out to him. So. Yep. It is what it is.
Targeting.
These games may miss this window or whatever.
Yeah.
So
they're targeting that window. I'm glad it didn't hit that window. I am super glad that it didn't.
Me too.
Yeah, because we're going to get such a polished game now, aren't we?
Well, as polished as it can be for a Bethesda game, but
wow.
100% more polished than it was last time. Yeah, any other game that they've launched.
We're going to get what I consider is going to be a generational game, and I'm pretty sure it will be, but I think it's going to be Game of the Year. I'm just I'm calling it as game of the year. I know it's going to be game of the
I'll co-sign
game of
that,
the
man.
generation.
What annoys
co-sign
me
that.
about what's happening on Starfield is they're using the worst images that they can online from the customer customization, and then they're showing a non-playable character, and going, "This is a PlayStation 4 game versus a next gen Xbox game," and I'm like,
boy.
really? Grow up! Like one is.
Yeah.
One was they've been using that 1886 game, which is basically just kind of like a showcase piece around what the hardware could do. It wasn't really, I feel like, a full
Yeah, but that was a
game.
bull shot they used as well. Like that wasn't in game.
No, it wasn't. But it's like, are we back to now focusing on graphics again? Because PlayStation guys were like, oh, it's all about graphics, and then they changed their mind, and now they're back at graphics again.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time that a game was just graphically beautiful did so well if it had shit gameplay. Like, if you were not having fun in that game, doesn't matter how good it looks, you're not playing that game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think back to the guy what was that game they made? What was the game they brought out for PS5? Godfall.
Yeah, I knew
And
what
the
you
guy
were
was like,
talking about.
This can only be this can only be on PlayStation and all of this. Only they can handle it. And lo and behold, we have it on Xbox now. But most of us are like, we're not buying your game after all that nonsense you talked. But it flopped over there. Beautiful game, looks really good, but it's trash gameplay. Most people said. So all of that doesn't save you at the end of the day. You have to have substance.
Yeah.
Visuals matter, but not as much as gameplay.
Gameplay is king.
Absolutely.
Always will be.
Yep.
Yeah.
For sure, man.
Why do you think we get addicted to gaming and certain things? The gameplay
Absolutely.
loop, all of that. If they've got that down pat, you are staying there and you're not changing it. The modding community is going to have a wow of a time with Starfield.
Oh man.
Holy crap.
I can't even wait to see what they come up with. It almost makes me want to get it on a PC just because I know it's going to be some crazy stuff we won't have
I reckon
on
they'll
console.
enable modding on the console like they did with
I agree.
Skyrim.
But I just think it'll be so much more, expansive on PC versus what we'll
100%,
get. That's the only part.
And let's not forget that alone will help make it a generational game because people will be building things and making things and designing things for many years to come. And it will keep coming up in the news and in narratives and stuff, and it'll be talked about for a long time. And that's what makes it special is that they allowed the mods to get in there and do stuff instead of just blocking it all off. So that definitely helps and build a community, and the community is going to be around for a long time.
I'm mindful, Umbra, that you probably have to leave in like 14 minutes to go onto your show, your podcast, right?
And much like Pete, I want to get powder my nose.
Yeah, is there anything else you want to add about any of the games like Clockwork Revolution, Hellblade 2, or anything else you want to add before you head out?
I'll give a quick overview. Hellblade 2 looked magnificent. When she was walking before, that was actually gameplay.
Yep.
Before it transitioned to the cutscene. The game is going to be gorgeous. Unreal Engine 5, it looks magnificent. Still wanted to see gameplay, actual fighting, at least gameplay.
I wanted to see more too,
Yeah, so that disappointed in that way. Like, we already know about the mental issues she's suffers from and things like that.
Like, right?
We will. I just expected to see it for this. It's hard to find. Like, I have to find something to pick at.
Clockwork.
That's how much I enjoyed it. Clockwork Revolution was magnificent. In Exile impressed me. It did not seem like something In Exile would make. So thoroughly impressed by that trailer.
Felt like Bioshock and Outer Worlds kind of sort of mixed together.
Somewhat, yeah. To me, it felt like a Bioshock Infinite / Dishonored. If that makes any sense. Yeah, it looks dope. I love the time manipulation and all that, and the steampunk. Like it looks really good. I expect that to be great. And I'm glad that these, like In Exile again. What we knew them from was like Wasteland. Imagine coming from that to this. That's a crazy jump. So I mean, you have to give it to Xbox and Phil and team for allowing their teams to be creative and do what they want, but also for them to branch out from beyond what they used to make something like that deserves praise. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So Really excited for that. Well, I think Clockwork Revolution. I know Revolution was my third most hyped game for the show. It was definitely Starfield. I thought it would be Fable all the way until I saw Starfield. Then I was like, okay. So
Starfield
Starfield, Fable, then Clockwork Revolution for me.
Starfield was one of those games that just people were like, "Oh, it's going to be good. It's not going to be this massive showing," and then they just kept. I can't even describe how they kept like one-upping themselves, and I was like, "Oh, it can't be more." And I was like, I had expectations, and they just kind of blew past them, and then some. I was just not prepared for that. I'll tell everyone where they can.
Same thing I felt. I'm like, yeah, this looks good. I know it's gonna be decent. Then I saw the visuals. I'm like, oh, it looks way better. Then I saw the gunplay. I'm like, oh, it looks really, really, really good. Then I saw him running. I'm like, is that 60? Is it 60? And I was like, okay, it's not 60, it's 30. But that's not going to stop me from enjoying this game.
Tell everyone where they can find you, and you can head out, Umbra, and then we'll continue on and finish up the show. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you guys can find me on Twitter under Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. You will find me either way. Of course, you find me tonight in the next few 15 minutes or so on Xbox Infinite podcast with Risky, Jedi Knight, Peter, Doom Cutie. I think we have Garuda and Truda tonight.
Garuda and Truda.
Don't worry.
And
I know.
on Tuesdays, I'm on Boom's podcast, Xbox Factor, at 12 Eastern. And my own podcast, The Fix, which we had a great show yesterday. If you all haven't checked it out in the audience, definitely give it a look and subscribe, for the channel, if you would. It's under my name, Infinite Umbra.
Chuck a link in the chat, man.
Yeah.
Let me do that too. I'll do that after I leave out. And the Fix, you all definitely come through at 7. It's on 8:00 Eastern on Thursdays.
No,
and thank you all for having me. It's been always fun, to discuss the games with you guys.
Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure, man.
Always enjoy having you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. I will talk with you good people later.
All right, enjoy your show.
All right, now.
Prosciutto.
See you guys.
Was there anything you wanted to specifically point out and talk about the show, or just go or the Starfield Direct or anything like that? Happy to.
Just the Starfield Direct was huge for me because of all the things that you found out. Like I was saying earlier, you can do the customization to the character, the customization to your weapons, the ship. I mean, to keep adding things to your ship, and to see people make certain things out of their ships was funny, and it will be funny to see what other people create. Excuse me. The aspect of pirating ships. The only thing I can think of, look at me. I am the captain now. That's all I kept thinking. And the stuff that you could do. First of all, I like the whole melee thing. They had a lot of humor in the video. In the Starfield Direct, it was really funny. Like the melee, like he punched the one guy and he flew over the rail, and he slowly drifted away. Then he had the explosion where the guy's body flew like a mile in the air, and if you weren't paying attention, you'd miss that. There was a lot of crazy things.
You were like, ah!
Yeah, the scream, yes. Yeah.
Which is brilliant.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool. It just looks like a game that. I'm sorry. It looks like a game that you'll never find the same thing twice. To hear that the lighting has to do with the atmosphere and the temperature.
Yeah.
It was just completely astonishing to see. And for those who keep saying Sky, No Man's Sky. No, listen, I played No Man's Sky for like 3 months straight. Liked the game. I really did like the game. Enjoyed it. The problem. I'm so sorry. It was on medication. The problem with No Man's Sky is, the problem with No Man's Sky is, it's very
shit.
very it's kind of a linear experience. Yeah, I was thinking that time. It was kind of a linear experience, and with that, you don't really get all the bells and whistles that you hear inside Starfield. I did want to see what the difference would be between the two. 'Cause I knew people were going to still continue to bring those up, and there's a vast difference.
Yeah.
A really vast difference in what Starfield brings as opposed to what Starfield brings to the table as far as the game is concerned.
It's gonna be a good game.
And that customization is ridiculous. That's just not. I'm like you said, Panda. I'm gonna be there for like 2 hours just tweaking every little bit.
Yeah. I'm excited for it.
The game is going to be immense, isn't it? I'm actually gutted that it's not co-op or multiplayer anyway. I think
It's just Conan and Space Elite.
Even just co-op would have been great if there's just the two of you, just you and your wingman, just going around space and doing shit. Would have been great. I think that would have been fantastic. But yeah.
Well, you'll have companions in the game.
Yeah. So yeah, and you take them on. It's sort of like Outworld, isn't it? Where you can take them down onto the sort of the space and just like Star Trek. You can take them down. You can just choose who to go, can't you?
No idea.
You can
they haven't showed us enough there. But
yeah.
I think they've left a lot to go. We don't want to show you too much. We also want you to explore some of the things. So we're going to tell you some of the important things, but there's so much more that you can do in this game that we haven't even brought up with you. And I think there's so much that they aren't even anticipating that we're going to come up with. Like, you're looking at what happened in, Tears of the Kingdom, how people were just making those ridiculous structures and doing all of the stuff. And people, if you allow their imagination to run wild, they'll create things that you can't even imagine. And I think they're just waiting to see what the community does with Starfield, especially figuring out the game and going, I didn't even realize we could do that in the game. You know, it's going to be a whole heap of that is going to be happening. And like, this is going to be massive. Yeah. I'm excited.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Oh yeah, that person that created that silly mech spaceship thing. It's awful.
Looks like a Lego.
Yeah, yeah, it did like a Lego, didn't it, or a Roblox thing.
Yeah.
If you want to find it, but anyway, but it just shows the degree of the customization you can do, which is incredible. I can't wait to make my own shit. It's gonna be fantastic.
Yeah.
Amount of time and money you're gonna put into it, and it's got MTs, it's got microtransactions. But does anyone care about the microtransactions in the game?
No.
No.
That's not.
No, I usually ignore that shit.
It's not pay to win, so it doesn't really impact that. Like,
so, and because it's on Game Pass, I probably will spend money on customization and doing stuff like that. If
the only thing that they would convince me to buy is if they gave me an N7 skin. I know, right, Prosciutto, right? Like, I'd be like, I would buy that in a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
No, she's right as usual. If you pulled out an N7 skin and you killed it with the design and everything with it, and it's $10, I'm like, let me see, 1, 2, I got $9 in pennies. Let me see if I get.
You'd scrape it together just to get that right.
That's a great idea, but absolutely. I think they've got more chance of doing, say, something like Master Chief because it's first party.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I mean, there's so many things that they could put in there, like from all the IPs and everything they've got.
That would be awesome, and I reckon they will down the line.
They do a Sea of Thieves. They do the same with Sea of Thieves. That's the other thing as well. Names. You say Shepherd. When you put your name in, the players call you by that name, don't they? The NPCs call you by that name. So I'm interested to see what the name selection will be.
You look at the Forza Horizon games, and like when you select from any of those names on that list, they have the AI for the GPS system call you by that name because they've recorded it. So it might be that way. Who knows? It depends on the name, right?
Hopefully.
But that'd be cool. I'm so excited for this game. I'm just watching it up on screen and I'm like, why is it not September already? Come on.
Right. Why didn't this on my hands already now?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go play some Diablo just to kind of tide me over. Which I will be playing after this, yeah.
Are we rounding up now then, are we?
Yeah, I think the
Round
only
up?
thing I really wanted to talk about
Yeah.
was if anyone had any highlights from the Ubisoft showcase or the Capcom showcase. My only highlight from Capcom was more on Dragon's Dogma 2, but I think Pete and I might have a catch up about that at some point because him and I are both super obsessed with that game.
Yeah, look, real quick, the Assassin's Creed Mirage gameplay that they
Yes.
showed. For me,
Yes,
it's going back to more of that stealth based element, which is fine. I still think it's going to be a little bit of a hybrid between sort of the newer and older, but focusing more on the older. Which is fine by me. It looks like the assassinations are going to be pretty sick. In one of the shots, he's on a wire above and he's scoping out the room, and he essentially obviously you have to have the skill or whatever to do it, but he's able to select 3 of the enemies and then quickly teleport to them and assassinate them. Which, as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh my god, this is fucking awesome. So. I'm definitely going to get it. I'm definitely down for that game. Big Assassin's Creed fan anyway. The fact that the map is smaller, more condensed, which means there's more alleyways, more buildings to go through and jump around. So I'm going to be exploring that. And they said they've basically ripped all the RPG elements out of it, which is fine by me. I don't mind as long as the gameplay's there. I want double assassinations back, which I think we will see. As long as it doesn't force you like the old games to have to stick to a particular path. Like if you're following people and you're on the rooftop following them and you have to sort of stay, I want to be able to still go around and approach it my way. Hopefully they can still do that. And I think they will, because like I said, I think it's going to be a little bit of a hybrid between the two. I don't want anything to do with the Animus, but being the fact that they're talking about it being sort of like the first game, maybe there's going to be elements of that in there. I'm one of those people that like the games, don't care for the Animus side of things, but I've got to kind of expect it to be there.
Well, you know how I was making a comment about wanting to see The Division 3?
Mm-hmm.
And then we saw...
I want to see that too.
Yeah, and then we saw a Division title at the Ubisoft showcase for mobile. And I was like, no! Fuck off!
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? We don't want to see mobile games, but unfortunately, that's where...
Situation,
yeah, look, I still think for the likes of Xbox, Ubisoft, and others, that it's still only going to be, or, at least for a long time, it's only going to be a percentage of their focus. But they need to be seen doing it. They want to break out into the mobile market more. Yeah. It is what it is. I just kind of ignore it. So you find out it's mobile, I kind of just move on from it.
Yep.
Stick to the console games.
Mm-hmm. Elite, anything else you want to add?
No, I've got the poll running. What did you rate the showcase? Which I threw out to everyone. So I had scores of 1 to 4, 10%. I wonder they were. Didn't have to watch
that was me. Sorry.
Yeah. 5 to 7, only 5%. So more people voted 1 to 4 than 5 to 7. 8 to 9% was 48%, and then 10% was 38%. So yeah, the majority is sort of 8, 9s, and 10s. Yeah.
So we have 15% ponies in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
there you go. That's how you find out, you see?
Yeah.
There you go. Yep.
That's how you cull the herd. No,
who voted 1 to 4? Come on.
I did.
Must have been at least 3
I
people.
really didn't. I didn't.
Yeah. We've done that. Come on.
Try hard.
No, he enjoyed the show. Try hard enjoyed the show.
Try hard.
He rated it 6. You said he rated it 6. So
okay.
So he'd be in the 5%. So probably these are the 5%. So who voted? It must have been 2 people that voted 10%. Yeah, and I just wanted to do a chat. So yeah, I was going to do a shout out to the chat. So, but are we doing?
You can do chat out to the chat,
I think
of course.
Wrapping up for the day.
There was some weird noise then. Right, so I just wanted to do a quick shout out to the chat. Thank you all for joining us. I can't see my pointer. MacBound and AshtreyGaming in the chat.
Idiot.
Thank you.
No,
Made it much better.
Even for the Umbra. Did I like Peter? That's American for Peter.
You're an idiot.
Vic the Click. A great try hard fan. We've got so many in chat. So many. Rand's channel's dead right now because they're all. Yeah. Giggity goo. So that's what I've got. I've got nothing else.
You're just having some fun there, Ashtray, eh? Well, before we head out, Mr. Prosciutto, where can people find you? Yeah.
Well, you can always find me on Thursday,
Okay.
Eastern Standard Times at 9 p.m. on the KY Bobby Show, which is Game Set Live. And you can find me on PlayStation, Twitter, Xbox, and everything as Mr. Bushido N7 until Starfield arrives. It'll be Mr. Bushido Starfield N7. And that's it.
Nice, man. Well, we appreciate you coming on board again for us.
Yeah.
It's always good to have
Man,
you on. And it also takes time away from Elite talking, so we really appreciate that.
I've actually got a question for Bushido. So when Starfield drops, Bushido, when Starfield drops,
yes,
Starfield or Mass Effect, who's the winner?
You got to give him at least
He's
a couple of hundred hours in the game
Starfield.
to make the decision.
Can't do that to us.
Now.
Yeah.
Minimum 200 hours in there before you can make that a decision, man.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The minimum is 200.
Yeah.
The minimum is 200. I'm going to take real long time with the main story. I'm going to probably be like a month into playing, and everybody else be like, man, the ending was pretty good. I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot about the story. So, yeah, I'm going to be in there, man. I'm be elbows deep into this space opera. So we'll see, man. I think I'm gonna be able to do that. Easy.
I met a girl that was elbows deep in. But
anyway, all right. Well, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for sticking around and talking about some gaming news, and then the showcase that was amazing. That Starfield Direct was just fucking amazing. I just can't. Probably one of the best ones I've seen ever. They just pulled it off. Like they outdid themselves from last year. Like last year's Bethesda showcase, 15 minutes compared to this one. This is like S-class. So
I just want to say, did you see Angry Joe on it? Angry Joe actually blew his mind. He loved it.
So he's no longer around anymore? He's blown his mind?
Yeah. Blew his load.
R.I.P. Angry Joe. Anyway, I'm not surprised. I think everyone was blown away by this. You just look at the pre-order numbers that are happening. It's going insane everywhere, and that is, I think, probably the biggest thing that a lot of the PlayStation community is not happy about is they are going to have to, if they want to play this game, either get a console or get a PC that they haven't, because they seem to all own PCs, but they don't. They're going to have to do that. They're going to have to compromise and play this game that way.
I mean, they all have 4090s, so...
Yeah. I mean, basically.
These come from the cheapest gamers on the planet, now they have 4090s.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to head out, guys. Have a great rest of your day or night, wherever you are watching live around the world. Be safe. And for some of you, I will see you on Diablo.
Yeah, you will for some of us.
All right. Great show, guys.
Great show. Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you for joining us.
Bye.
See you next week. Goodbye. Please share, and like.
Appreciate being cool.